Hello everybody. I should probably unmute before I start saying hi. Hello everybody, welcome to another live stream. I hope everybody is doing well and that you're all having a good day. We are here, we're going to get started and we're going to play some Minecraft, which should be fun. We're going to go and hunt for some stuff. I'm going to go and look for some more armor. We were searching for the armor templates, whatever, however you say it, and we couldn't find anything last time. We searched for a while and didn't find anything, so I'm going to keep searching again today. And then, if anything, we're going to go diamond hunting because I do need some diamonds to be able to make the netherite template. And so I do have 3. And you can double them, so I just gotta go find some diamonds because you need 7 diamonds to do an upgrade. And I think I only have like 3 diamonds right now. I wasted all my diamonds that I had, and so we're gonna go look for some diamonds, but first we'll look a little bit longer to see if we can find one of the templates for the armor designs and see if we can do that, because I haven't seen it yet. And who knows, maybe we'll find a sniffer egg. I don't know, I have no idea. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening. I know I'm starting a little bit late, but this is probably going to be closer to the time I'm going to start starting from now on. One, because it allows me to sleep a little bit longer, which gives me more energy for the stream. I'll be a little less tired. 2, it'll also you know, Nora's not at school anymore, so I don't have to go pick her up anymore. So there's no rush to get out of here to go grab her. So I can start the stream when I'm good and ready, really. For the next little while, it's still not going to be super long, but they're leaving in like 54 days, I think is what we counted with Nora. And once the 54 days are up, probably closer to the 54 days, not exactly on the 54th day, I'm probably going to start doing longer streams. That way I can start, you know, getting myself used to doing 5 or 6 hour streams. And first I'm probably going to start by doing more streams during the week. So right now I'm just streaming Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm probably going to start adding another day in just so I can do 4 days a week. Eventually it'll go up to 5 days a week, and then I got to up the hours. So that's kind of what the plan is right now. I'm gonna be starting around this time normally now because it's just a little bit easier for me, because like last night I went to bed around 3 in the morning, which is somewhat early for me, and I woke up at 10:30, so that was about 7.5 hours. Now I woke up a couple times during the night, but it was about 7.5 hours, which is a lot better than, you know, 5 hours of getting up and streaming. And then I got up, I had breakfast, I showered, so like I was able to really like get myself going for the day, which is going to lead to a much better experience for me as a streamer, and it'll make it a little bit easier for me to make a better experience for everybody else as a streamer. So yeah, Kai, hello, nice to see you. Welcome. How you doing? How's your day going? But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any other news. Life is the same as it was yesterday. Things haven't changed too much. I was on the fence about playing 7 Days to Die or Minecraft today. I'm gonna go with Minecraft, and I will get back to 7 Days to Die soon. I have to revamp the whole schedule once I start adding more days and more hours, because obviously it's going to be a little bit different once that comes in. We're probably going to do something like I'll schedule it in a way where it's like 45 minutes of just chatting and then gameplay, and then like another half an hour at the end of the night to finish off as just chatting. Right now I just kind of go off, you know, seat of my pants and do whatever I want. But eventually I'll set up kind of a way that my schedule works out, so that way people can kind of know what to expect. If they want to be here for the just chatting, they know to be here right at the top. And then if they want to see just the gameplay, they know that once I start within like an hour, they can come in and I'll be, you know, doing my gameplay or whatever. It kind of depends on what people want. Ghost, hello, straightening your hair. Nice. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. And that the kids are doing really well, and that those magic Robux keep appearing. I want the magic Robux genie to come to my bank account. Speaking of which, this is something new that's going on in my life. About 3 weeks ago, I'm seeming much calmer than I am. Inside, I am like panicking. But about 3 weeks ago, Alana came into the room, really upset with me, because she had her bank account locked. And she got a warning saying that somebody was trying to take money suspiciously from her account. Now, she didn't accuse me of trying to steal her money, but before, we used to be on a family Apple plan, and so if you don't use Apple, you can share a family plan, which is great because if one person buys games, then everybody can play them, and it can allow you to like give permission to kids and stuff to buy their games or whatever. So we were all on the same plan. The problem is that I would want to buy a game but for some reason Apple wouldn't allow me to pay for it through my money. It would go straight to Alana's account. So she thought I was trying to purchase games on my account. I'm not on the family account anymore, but she thought I was trying to purchase games on the account and that it was going to charge her, and that she didn't have money in the account, so it was, you know, bouncing and it was being suspicious or whatever. So she came in pretty upset with me. It wasn't me. Somebody was trying to get into her account. Well, the night before last, I decided to check my account because my rent comes out on Monday, and I wanted to make sure that I had, you know, the money there and how much money I was going to have left for gas and food, food and everything. And I had over $2,000 stolen from my bank account. Somebody was stealing from my bank account. Now, the funny thing is, somebody made 2 attempts on Alana's account with the same bank, one of the biggest banks in Canada, RBC. Stay away from RBC. This is why they give away free iPads for you to sign up, because they suck. So with 2 attempts on her account, they called her immediately and locked her card. 15 different transactions all within an hour to the same site for the exact same price, and they didn't flag that as suspicious. They didn't bother calling me. They didn't bother alerting me. The only reason I found out is because I looked at my account, and $2,000 gone. When I called them, first they hung up on me because the assistance or whatever was closed. I called a second time, and I found through the different buttons you could press, I found where they had like emergency contacts. So I went through them, and the guy who answered the phone basically said it's going to take anywhere from 15 to 30 days for them to investigate it. Then they'll call me back with the decision on whether or not they're going to refund my money. Because 8 charges the day before for like $1.50 over and over and over again, and then 15 charges the next day, all within an hour, it wasn't suspicious to them, so they're going to make me wait. And I told them, you know, I have rent due, my car payment is due, my car insurance is due, my child support is due, and his response was, you can go to the bank and get a letter and show it to them so they don't come after you. How do I tell my kid's mom, hey, I can't pay child support this month because the bank said, here's the piece of paper? Are you freaking kidding me? And so I'm sitting here and I'm hoping that my overdraft and that my line of credit is going to have enough in it for me to be able to pay all my bills. I'm not saying this because I want donations. It's going to be resolved no matter what, because it wasn't me that did it. The account is an account that I don't use. Like, it was done through Visa debit, and I never use my Visa debit. I think I've used it 3 times in the last 2 years. So it's very clear it wasn't me. So they're going to give me my money back, but it's just they're making me sit here and have to deal with all this stress. But that's what's going on in my life. Oh, the starting soon is still up. Sorry. Hello, thank you so much. Who was that? Hold on, I don't see it. I don't see it. I can't see the alert. Where's the alert? Fork in a toast. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But yeah, I'm pretty stressed out, just because there's all these things that are going to come out at the same time, and I'm hoping that my line of credit is going to be enough to cover it all. Because as far as the math I've done, it's going to cover it all, but there's always like a bill that I forget about that all of a sudden comes out, so I'm hoping that I have enough to cover it until they give me my money back. Needless to say, pretty freaking stressful, pretty annoying, and just really frustrating that the bank is going to make me wait that long. My brother's with a different Canadian bank, and within 48 hours he had his money back. And they're going to make me wait potentially up to a month. Like, that's stupid. That's so stupid. But hopefully it's a clear enough case that they're going to give me my money back faster than a month. Hopefully it'll only be a couple of days, I hope. But it's a long weekend, so it could be a little bit longer than I would like. My dad's inheritance needs to come through like right away. Update on that, we're still waiting. That's the only update with that one. Chad, how you doing, man? Welcome back. How are you? But yeah, Ghost, I hope you're doing really well. I hope life is, you know, going okay for you. And I think I saw a post about like your work season is almost up. I hope things don't get too rough for you then. Yours truly, hello, welcome. By the way, Ghost, I don't know if you've been doing something different. I don't know, but in your latest videos, your makeup and hair have been looking really, really nice. I don't know. I don't know if you've been doing anything different, or it's just, I don't know, maybe the lighting has changed or something. I don't know, but thought I'd let you know. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what's going on with me. Not too much else. Today is my Monday. I had to go back to work. Not looking forward to it. Nice, Chad. Yeah, it's you know, sometimes it's hard to get started, like to figure out everything you need to do. Sometimes it's hard to kind of know what direction to take as a brand new streamer, and sometimes it can be very intimidating. because obviously you're going into a whole realm that it feels like everybody knows what they're doing, and you're kind of coming in as a new person, and there's so many people out there, so it feels like it can feel like, what's the point when, you know, there's so much competition? But at the same time, if you never try it, you'll never see if it fits. And the truth is, streaming is like being an adult. None of us know what the hell we're doing. We just pretend like we do. That's really what it is. Some people are much more savvy in certain aspects. Like, I'm very good with lighting and sound. I can do lighting and sound for pretty much anybody. It's just I'm not business savvy. There's other people that have horrible lighting and sound, but they are business wizards and they get connections left, right, and center. And then there's people like, I'm going to name drop because she is such an inspiration for me, Kadea. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kadea. She does a lot of content like I do on TikTok, where like she talks about news or fun facts in video games, and like she's just like a variety gaming content channel. We met because we were both doing like streaming advice. She is, not only is her quality great, but she is a business guru. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing. She is a smart person. I wish I could pick up 1/10 of what she talks about, because she'll mention things and I just don't understand it. She's great. But it's definitely it's one of those things, you got to take that first step. If you don't take the first step, you'll never progress. And the first step can be the hardest. After that, just kind of go with it, see what happens. And like I said, just give yourself permission to walk away if it doesn't work. And that almost alleviates the pressure. That's where I am right now, right? Like, when I came back to streaming, because I don't know how long you've been around as far as like seeing my name at all, but I started streaming 6, almost 7 years ago. And I took a year and a half off just about 4 months ago. I was off for a year and a half. And when I came back with the strict rule to myself that I was only going to stream when I felt like it, and that I was only going to do it for fun, with no like trying to make money, no trying to like find incentives, none of that stuff. I turned off my channel point redemptions. All that stuff got turned off because I didn't want the pressure. I also decided not to relaunch my Discord because that was also an extra pressure that I'm not very good at handling. And then it was literally, if nobody watches, it's okay, because I'm going to be playing these video games anyway, and I know I have a couple of friends that'll pop in to say hi. Like, Ghost will pop in occasionally to say hi, and Ghost is one of the people that I regularly see. So, like, if Ghost pops in, and Ghost is the only person that comes in through the whole stream for, like, 20 minutes, I'm fine with that, because they're one of my friends, and I'm not, you know, trying to gain followers. The immediate change I felt as a streamer, where it no longer felt like a stressful thing to do. I no longer worried about whether my stream was good or not. It was a game changer for me. And it became much easier to get on stream, because if I didn't know what I wanted to do, it didn't matter. Whereas before, when I was taking it in a way of like, I need to grow, I need to do my work, I need to make it happen, it became very much an unachievable goal, where like I needed to make sure that I was playing something that people would enjoy, and that I would be good at doing the entertainment part of it, that it would cause growth, that I would have average viewers that wanted to watch me. It became a lot of stress, and it became a lot less fun. And then obviously with a family came the justification of like, if I'm spending 4 hours doing this, I sure as hell better have some kind of result to show for it, whether it's through growth or through partnerships or through money. And when that didn't happen, it wasn't so much, oh my God, I'm trying to make this my job and I'm not making enough money. It became, I spent 4 hours on this when I could have spent 4 hours doing dishes, cleaning the house or whatever. And I don't even have money to show for it or growth to show for it. So it just became very much like it felt like I was almost like I was neglecting my family for streaming, it felt like. But now that I've stopped caring, and now it's like I've got all these hours that I sit around, because the reason I started is I would go pick up Nora from school, but I would sit on my couch because I'd be up at 10 in the morning. I would sit until 2 o'clock doing nothing. So it's like, I might as well stream in that time. And now that pressure's gone. And now obviously we've broken up and stuff. So now I don't have that pressure anymore. They're still living here and I still take care of Nora, but it's not the same responsibility anymore. So I can add a bit more pressure to myself. But having that freedom of like, no, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I can just walk away from it because I'm not trying to do anything with it. It was a game changer for me. It made streaming so much more fun, and it made it easier to just enjoy and have people who really enjoy my content be around, rather than trying to entertain people and then having people that were only here for the entertainment and not necessarily because they liked me. Because then it made it hard when they criticized me, because I was trying to please them and it just was never enough. And now it's like, if you don't like me, I don't care. I'll tell you to fuck off and I'll block you. I don't care. I don't need the growth. You know, so give yourself that freedom to walk away if you don't like it. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. Ghost, yeah, finding families to work with lately has been slow. Yeah, I can imagine, especially with the way the economy is going. Everybody is cinching that belt, and things that we normally would have spent on are not as feasible anymore. And babysitters, I know for us, that was one of the hardest things because we were barely earning enough to make ends meet. Paying somebody else for us to go to work almost made it a moot point to go to work because Alana was working, you know, at Tim Hortons, which was minimum wage, and we were paying our babysitter minimum wage. So basically she'd go to work just to pay the babysitter, and it didn't actually give us anything. So in that case, she might as well just stay home. And now more families are feeling that. So it's like, it's got to be hard. It's got to be so hard for anybody that works with families because the belt is so tight. And then like when you add more kids, or if they have behavioral problems, and then it just adds stress to you, especially because you've got kids. Like, I don't envy you. I don't envy you. Hello, Tyler. How you doing, man? How are you? Whether it's just chatting or watching me play. Yeah, because I never shut up. I think that's the one thing I can kind of like pat myself on the back for as a content creator, that I give people the ability to just kind of turn me on and just like leave me on as background noise. Because, you know, if you're watching somebody who does something competitive, like playing Call of Duty or whatever, you almost need to watch to see what's happening because you're going to miss out on the event. Or like when I watched Mario Maker, the goal was to see the player get past the hard level. So you couldn't necessarily walk away because you would miss the moment that they finally achieved the one trick they couldn't do. Whereas like for me, you know, my gameplay is garbage. It's just about listening to me talk. And so you can literally like have my screen turned off and just listen to my voice, and you're not going to miss anything compared to somebody who's sitting there watching me. So I think that's one benefit I have, which I try. Right, Ghost? I agree with you. There have been some changes here in Ontario, in Canada in particular, in my province, where they're starting... Well, I think they took it away. I don't know. I try to stay away because we've got an idiot that is running our province, and he's an uneducated fool, and he's not even successful at what he does. He's one of these people that, you know what political party I'm talking about. He's trying really hard to emulate Trump. And like Trump is a stupid human, but like this guy isn't as dumb as him, but he's not as business savvy as him. Even though Trump isn't really business savvy, he's a good fraudster. This guy's not a good fraudster, but he's trying to emulate the same thing. And so he just recently made a big statement about people on our disability program, commenting about how it's disgusting that they live off the government when they should be out working. If you're on disability, you're not making a good living. You're barely making ends meet if you're living within government housing and government assistance. You're not living a good life. Like, this guy is such a hateful person. He made fun of people who were living on welfare. We call it Ontario Works. But like, I applied for it once because I lost my job out of nowhere, and I wasn't able to find a job, so I was applying to see if I could get help. And they offered me $300 a month. And Ontario is incredibly expensive to live in. Like, the city I was living in, a one bedroom in a house, not an apartment, just a bedroom, at the time was costing $400 a month, and they were offering me $350. How am I supposed to pay for my apartment, including food and child support and you know, clothing, electricity, any of that stuff? But because I was a single guy, that was all they were willing to give me. So like, this guy's an idiot. But anyway, I try not to watch our news stuff, but I think here they had implemented a $10 a day for working families that had a certain income level, where the government supplemented the rest. They need to implement that everywhere, because $10 a day for a family to go to work, it's a fee I would be willing to pay. I wouldn't mind paying $10 a day for my kid to go somewhere, and I could go to work with peace of mind. You know, and then the government obviously supplies the rest, because without us working, the economy stops. And without you guys being able to afford to do the job to take care of kids, we couldn't go to work. Like, it's a full-blown group effort. So like, they need to implement more stuff like that. They really do. I hope he does too, Ghost. He, I don't know if you saw it, but this was years ago. This was probably like 10 years ago. The mayor of Toronto that everybody made fun of, the crackhead who went on like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, and he was like sweating up a storm. Rob Ford. It's his brother. And so this guy's like had it out for the province because we were all laughing at his brother because his brother was a bumbling buffoon. But this guy's an even worse bumbling buffoon. It's just he's not publicly as embarrassing as his brother was. But they're useless. But it's great. The city of Toronto, which is where his brother was the mayor, the city of Toronto gave him a big middle finger just recently. They were voting for a new mayor. The mayor stepped down because he's been a corrupt mayor for years. He's been a mayor for like 15 years in Toronto, but he's super, super corrupt, and he never stepped down. But then he got caught having an affair, and apparently there was a lot more involved with it, so he stepped down. And so there was a huge run for the new mayor. And the left-leaning person that was running was winning. The prior mayor vouched for somebody else, and then they got neck and neck. And then comes in this buffoon, the premier of our province, and he steps in, and then he goes and he, vouches for somebody else, and then that guy lost all of his support. He's really upset that the lady won because he had said that if she won, Toronto was in a lot of trouble, and then he went and put this guy's name in the ring, and then the guy lost terribly because nobody likes him. Nobody wants him to be anywhere near power in Toronto. Toronto hates him, as does most of Ontario. But yeah, crazy. What is that in my finger? You mean on my nails? It's nail polish. Should have voted for the dog. Oh, man. Should have voted for the dog. Oh, thanks, Chad. Thanks. That's all for now. Yes. I'm the guy that goes super deep in the conversations. We're going to be playing some Minecraft today. Why? Because I like it. Simple as that. I mean, I could ask you why is your profile picture that guy laughing? It's who's that? Oh, that's Brad Pitt, right? Why is it Brad Pitt? Or like, why do you have Peter Dinklage or a Call of Duty Modern Warfare thing on your channel? Because you like it. Same reason I paint my nails, because I like it. That's it. People really need to stop trying to like read into some deep meaning. People do things just because they like it, right? It's not like some significant thing, right? I think bigots have convinced the world that everything everybody does is for like some subliminal message, some crazy thing. It's nuts. I'm not saying you're a bigot in particular, but it's like the world has been convinced now that if somebody does something, it means something. I mentioned this before. I had a patient that I was taking care of who was convinced I was gay. And I didn't paint my nails when I worked there because I was working in a fairly conservative area. But he was convinced I was gay because I had earrings. And that was it. Like, that was his whole reasoning for thinking I was gay, despite having mentioned that I was, that I had a wife and that I had a daughter. He was still convinced I was gay. And then one day he asked me flat out once he got more comfortable with me. And I was like, no, I'm straight, man. I'm completely straight. And he was shocked. And he's like, but you wear earrings. Like in my estimation, that's very much like coming up to somebody and being like, but you're wearing jeans. Doesn't that mean you're a pilot? Like, how do those two things connect? I don't get it. It's so weird. No worries, Chad. No worries. We went, hello. Nice to see you. Sorry, it's behind the window. Mr. FOV, hello. How are you? Trilena, hello. Sorry, I had Twitch behind everything. I didn't notice everybody was messaging. I'm so sorry. I apologize. But yeah, we live in a really weird world where people think everything has to mean something. Like, you can't like something just for the sake of liking it. I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, it reminds me of the 90s. For those of you who are really young, you may not have experienced this. I don't know how kids see the world now, obviously. But in the 90s, oh no, they're gonna unsub, don't unsub, but please, I need the money. I got 12 subs, that's all I got, oh my god. I was just talking about how I had $2,000 stolen. Please don't. No, I need it. I need it. Yeah, I don't know how people see it nowadays, but when I was a kid, like, it was even down to the point, like, what ear you had pierced was, like, the hidden way. And I'm not saying people didn't do this in a way to, like, kind of subtly signal. People do that. Because obviously we live in a world where you can't always be who you want to be without some idiot trying to hate on you. But in the 90s, it was a lot more. Like, coming out as gay was, like, a huge thing in the 90s. I was just watching an episode of Seinfeld, the one episode, for those who've never watched Seinfeld. There's an episode where Seinfeld, who's a comedian, if you don't know, is in a coffee shop, and they see some girls eavesdropping, and they pretend to be gay. And then she turns out to be a reporter, and then makes a news report about how he's gay. And it's this big thing about how he doesn't want everybody to think he's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's kind of like the joke in the show. And within that episode, a guy in the military walks up and he's like, I just want you to know that you coming out is so brave that it's given me the inspiration to come out, even if it costs me my military service. Like, in the 90s, it was such a big deal to come out as gay that, like, you were seen as a hero and that people would be inspired by you doing that. So a lot of people would want to kind of signal to their own community by doing things that maybe not everybody would pick up on, and one of them was the earring. So I remember when I was a kid, I had to make sure my earring was on the left side because I didn't want anybody to think I was gay. You know, and I'm not saying that that's a good stance for me to take. Obviously, it's a harmful stance that I had, but I was a kid. I didn't know any better. But, like, we're in 2023 and there are adults, full grown ass adults, that still believe that and think that way. Where, like, you paint your nails. What does that mean? Are you trying to come out as trans? No, I just like painting my nails. Like, that's it. Right? And whether or not I'm trans, what does it matter to anybody? Right? Like, we're not children anymore, folks. We're adults. Let people do whatever the hell they want. As long as it doesn't interfere with your life, who cares? Right? It's crazy. It's nuts. It's nuts. Friends would come by and ask if he was your boyfriend. Yeah, like, it's people are weird. Now, if somebody's asking you if they're your boyfriend, depends on their intention. You know, sometimes it's just curiosity, not about, like, whether you're gay or not, but just like, are you guys a couple? Kind of like when I see a guy and a girl together and they're super flirty, and I'm like, are you guys in love? Like, it's the, oh my god, it's so cute. But yeah, people are, I don't know, people are weird. People are just weird. Guys, the thing with guys, which is starting to come to light, but it's also going down the toxic route, which, surprise, surprise, that's what guys tend to do. With guys, it turns into, like, guys can't be emotional with each other. They can't be nice with each other without it, like, having to be something romantic. And sometimes it's like, no, man, you're just somebody that I love and I care about. Why does that have to turn into something romantic? Like, why do guys have to be mocked that way? Do you know what I mean? It's weird. That's why I like the friends I have, because, like, I can tell them I love them, I can hug them, and it's no skin off our back, right? It's crazy. They might have, Tyler. They might have. I mean, it did look like you were taking me out on a date to impress me, and you did a pretty good job. I gotta say, you did. I can see why you're married. Yeah, that's stupid. Chad, don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you, honestly. All the compliments I made about this hot guy I see on my screen were left unnoticed. Oh no! I don't know who you're talking about. I have no idea. I have no idea. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much all the news I've got. There's not much more going on, excitement-wise. You know, we're living in a weird world. That's all I can say. That's how I'm gonna end that. We're living in a weird world. Oh, Merle, I hate that. I hate that so much. Okay, where's my mouse? I hate when it happens. I thankfully am starting to get into the habit. I have been, I say it every stream, but I've been playing a lot of Subnautica, and I've had a couple of times where I've played for a few hours and then I quit the game because I get really, sorry, I'm trying to launch Minecraft here. I get very absorbed into the game, and when you're playing in VR, if you've never experienced VR, if you're really immersed in it, you can completely, why am I signed out of everything today? I am really hoping, hey, why is, oh, I'm on the wrong scene, that's why. I am really hoping that I have... So, okay, I was talking about how my money got stolen, my account got hacked and everything. I'm wondering if I have to reset my router. I have a feeling somebody has broken into my Wi-Fi and is like tracking the PCs, because all my stuff has been logged out, including like things usually log out every few months just as a verification. But like everything was logged out today. When I went to go on the computer, my restream was, my restream was logged out. My TikTok was logged out on my tablet. And there was something else that was logged out that I was having a hard time getting back into. It wasn't letting me in. My smart light. My smart light was logged out. It was really weird. And right now Minecraft was logged out. So I'm wondering if somebody has gained access to my Wi-Fi, and that's why they were able to get my like my password for my bank info, maybe. Oh, Chad, that thing is nuts. Don't let your wife know that you take me on dates when that hurt. I won't say a thing. I won't say anything. Don't worry. I won't tell them. Whoops, not voice meter. Hold on, cancel. Discard. Where's Minecraft? There it is. Okay. And music, shut up. Okay. Oh my god, the Colleen Ballinger thing. Oh my god. Can we buy a date? It would be expensive. It would be so expensive. Yeah. It would be expensive to date me. It'd be so expensive. I was happy to catch your streamer today. Yes, Nikki, I appreciate you coming in. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, Mr. FOV. Somebody used my Visa and they took almost all of my money. I'm not very happy about it. I have to get in, like, I got in contact with the bank. I have to wait for them to contact me to tell me if they're going to give me my money back. It's not fun, especially because the insurance company is taking forever to give my dad's life insurance. My grandmother's life insurance from last year still hasn't come through. And like paying my bills this month is going to max out all of my credit. And so like, and I've been living like slightly above my means because I don't have, like, so much stuff has gone on that like every month I'm almost like I'm using like $100 out of my line of credit every month because I just can't survive right now. And now I've got to max out my credit. So I don't know what's going to happen next month if the bank decides they're not going to give me my money back. They should. I don't see a reason not to, but still it's really, really frustrating to be in the position that I'm in. I'm really not happy about it, all because some jerk didn't want to work. It happened a couple of days ago. I didn't talk about it yesterday because I was trying really hard not to think about it. I'm pretty stressed out about it. That being said, I'm not saying it because I want money or need money. I'm gonna be fine. I'm 99.9% sure that the bank is gonna give me my money back because the purchases were very obviously fake. It's on some random website that the bank can see I've never purchased anything from, and it was multiple transactions all in a very short period of time for the exact same amount every time. So it's very obvious that it's fake. And it's on my Visa debit, which I never use. I think I've used it 3 times in the last 2 years. So it's very clear it's not a normal transaction. I'm more pissed off that the same thing happened to Alana last month, and they called her and locked her card immediately after the second transaction. And I had something like 15 transactions one day and like 8 transactions the day before. And the bank didn't bother calling me, notifying me, blocking the card, nothing. And now they're making me wait 15 to 30 days for them to investigate and give me my money back. RBC is useless. I'm pretty salty about it. So yesterday I didn't talk about it because I was really, really salty and I didn't want to have the rest of my day wrecked. So I decided I would just kind of like, just play and worry about the stream and not worry about that. But yeah, it was really frustrating. in Canadian dollars. So it might be cheap in euros because Canadian dollars aren't worth very much. Ooh, chicken curry. Nice. Yeah, Brian. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because like it's so obvious that it's a theft and the bank just let it happen. You know, it was really, really frustrating that it went on the way it did, and I just got to deal with it. There's nothing I can do about it, right? Thankfully, I've got enough in my line of credit to pay for my bills this month, but like, they better give me that money soon because I don't have any money to survive after that. After the bills are paid, I'm gonna have nothing. So hopefully the bank will pay me back before that happens. Like before I reach 0. Okay. So we had found a monument thing, right? And we were able to get a few pieces of sand, and that's when I stopped. So let me... I don't remember if we actually explored everything or just stopped after we explored. Or like, I don't know if we explored everything and stopped, or if I explored and stopped because I ran out of time without fully doing it all. So I don't really know, but we got to keep an eye out. The ray tracing makes it hard to see where I'm going though. It normally does. That's the weird thing, Chad. Anytime I do a transaction, it comes up to my watch. And my watch will be like, oh, you spent this much on this place, or oh, you transferred this much money. Yet the banking system completely failed me and just didn't warn me of anything. That's why it shocked me, because I went to look at my account and all of a sudden there was like $200 in my account. And I'm going, what the hell? And then I was like, did the month already end? I was like, no. I'm like, but how did I lose so much money? And then I go and look and it's the same transaction over and over and over again, all in one day. I don't know why I didn't get a notification or anything. It was so frustrating. Oh, the scene. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, we win. Thank you. Why isn't it showing? Dang it. You guys can look at Doctor Who. That's what you're going to watch. The music, the peaceful music goes to Doctor Who. Full screen projector. There. I hate that black spot at the bottom of the screen. Let me just put something there just so it's out of the way. Let's add another one of these yellow bars. Add image. Yellow bar. Ah!
Wrong scene.
Ooh! Oh my gosh. That was the weirdest reaction because I was in the middle of concentrating of like moving the yellow bar as it happened. So like I screamed as I'm still concentrating on moving the bar. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if the bank hid the notifications. My guess is just going to be that their system is faulty. Their system isn't good. Apparently there's been a report that a certain gas station had a bunch of information stolen from their banking transactions from people paying debit. If you're in the States, my understanding is the States, you need like a credit check and everything to have a debit card. In Canada, any bank card comes with like debit ability, and so it's pretty common for us to just pay with debit. We pay everything with debit. Ouch. Oh, I forgot that I have the friggin' phantoms. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. The phantoms are gonna kill me, and I don't have any wool. I don't have a bed. I got nothing. Crap. Are there shit anywhere that I can... Get out of here, you jerk. Anyways, it's pretty common here to use your debit card, and apparently one of the big gas stations around here had all of their debit transactions stolen. And so a bunch of people have been having bank fraud happen, and it's the gas station that's tied specifically with my bank. They offer like 3 cents off a liter if you sign up your bank card with their gas station card. And so I did. So there's a really good chance that that's how my information got stolen, is through that theft. So my guess is their system is just so overloaded with theft right now that they can't... Ouch. That they can't just fix it, and that they can't notify everybody because it's just all happening so quickly. That's my guess anyway. I don't know. Either way, the bank has never been that great with me. The only reason I ever went with them is I was with a different bank, and I had a cable connection with a company, with one of the biggest in Canada, and they I signed up with them, and the internet wasn't very good, and so I canceled with them. And they tried to tell me that I had signed a 2-year contract or a 1-year contract, and I hadn't signed anything, and it was supposed to be a 30-day trial. And they argued with me, and then in the end they told me, okay, fine, we'll cancel it. We can see here that, yeah, it was supposed to be a 30-day trial. We'll drop it. And then a year later, I got a call from collections that they had sent me to collections. They had sent out a bill for $300 that I never paid, that they weren't supposed to send out. So they wrecked my credit. And they were trying to withdraw money from my bank account. And so I canceled my original bank account and opened one with this company. And it's never been a great experience. So I'm frustrated, to say the least. I'm frustrated. I have the big yellow bar at the bottom because it's just a black, it's black emptiness. So I got it there just to fill in the black emptiness. Because if I stretch the screen out to fit fully and not have that black spot, it shows such a small amount of the gaming screen that you are almost only staring in between the weapon and the shield. It doesn't give a very good experience to see the gameplay. Okay, I killed 2 phantoms. Are there more? Fill in my black hole. Weewin, stop it. Stop it, Weewin. We're supposed to be professional. We're supposed to be professional. How do you do the jump scare? It's on Twitch or YouTube. I had one set up on TikTok. I don't think it works though. Actually, am I connected to TikTok? I might be connected to TikTok. I think I'm connected to TikTok. I had one connected to TikTok, but I don't remember which one I chose because TikTok doesn't allow you to just select a number, and they use their special coins, and their coins aren't 1-to-1. Like it's not 1 coin equals 1 cent or 1 coin equals $1. So I just picked a random number to choose, and I don't remember which one it is. But on Twitch and on YouTube, I have like a Streamlabs link for donations, and then if you use $6.66, it triggers the jump scare. Making the whole situation unexpected for me. Because what happened, I have it on, I think it's on Super Chat too on YouTube, but the problem with the Super Chat on YouTube is the Super Chat will actually come through before the alert does, so I can see that the jump scare is about to happen. So the Super Chat one isn't the greatest experience, because I'll be chatting and all of a sudden I'll be like, bing, so-and-so gave 666 in Super Chats. And then it takes like 40 seconds for it to actually do the jump scare. So by then I'm expecting it, I'm already completely prepared. Kind of wrecks the fear. Whereas like the regular donation, it full blown comes out of nowhere. Yeah, Chad, that's the thing. Not a lot of people will click on it. They'll click away, and TikTok does do, from what I've seen, they'll actually shrink my window to fit vertically, but it won't actually expand it. It'll just shrink it, so it makes the window super tiny. And I know for me, the way I react, as soon as I see a screen that's not taking up the whole screen on the phone, I just swipe away instantly. Like I don't even bother checking it out. So I go this way just because most people are using their phone this way. Even though I am giving up a huge portion of the screen, it's more likely that they'll stick around if I'm already in the direction that they're watching. I don't want to wander around all night long, but I don't have a bed. And I don't see any sheepses. I lost my boat too. Dang it. It's okay, I can make a new boat. Ah! I heard it the last second. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, no, I'm okay. I'm good here. What the? Okay. Haha! Phantoms, you can't get me. By the way, if you all notice that I stop every time I'm going to say phantoms, it's because I legitimately have to think about the word phantom before I say the word phantom. Because when Nora first started playing this game, she called them panthams. And so I started calling them panthams, and now panthams is what comes to mind every time I want to say it. So I have to stop and it's like, not panthams, it's phantoms. Get out of here, you jerk. Okay, the sun is rising. Burn these guys, burn them! Burn them in an inferno! Ah! Come on, hurry. So, thanks to everything that happened with the Titan sub. I know, we're all subbed out. We don't care about the sub. Nobody cares. But thanks to them, I've been on this kick over the last couple of weeks. I saw this TikTok that's like, thanks to the Titan sub, how many of my neurodivergent friends now have a special interest in subs? I don't, thankfully. But I have become incredibly interested in sea disasters. I've spent the last 2 days just watching video after video about different ships that sank, about different like deep sea divers that get stuck. I just watched one about a couple of divers that were in like they call it a full submersion dive, I think is what they call it. Not for full submersion, full crap. I can't remember what the word is, but like basically they're in deep waters for a long period of time, so they don't have to come out and decompress. They're there for like weeks at a time. I was reading about one where like the compression vessel that they stay in got disconnected from the ship, and like the whole struggle that they had to try to find them, and then how in the end they found them dead, and then how the companies basically skirted all of their own responsibility, and just like the beauty of capitalism. It's hilarious watching these things because they have nothing to do with like capitalism or communism or any of those kind of arguments, and it's literally just about a disaster that happened to swimmers or ship captains or whatever, and it always without a doubt falls back on capitalism made it so nobody ever got held responsible. Every single time. But yeah, I'm completely obsessed. I've been watching like disaster after disaster, and it's so shocking to realize how many disasters there are out there that nobody ever talks about. But then a couple of moron billionaires go and kill themselves in a sub, and the news is all over it. The Navy and the Canadian Coast Guard is down there trying to get their ship back, even though they're tiny little bits and pieces and everybody knows why they died. It's stupid. So stupid. Oh, I also have my filter on. It shouldn't be this colorful. It shouldn't be this colorful. Merle, thank you for pointing that out. Boom. There we go. It's a lot less red now. But yes, the sun was rising. There are rainbows everywhere. And now the rainbows are gone because I took the filter off. Imagine living life with a rainbow filter. That'd be awesome. Okay. It's daytime. The phantoms are gone. I need wool, but I don't have any, and I don't see any sheep anywhere. Lots of pigs, but pigs don't give me no wool. Right? And I don't have anything to make a bed out of. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we'll just keep exploring. Hope for the best. It was a blood moon. Oh. Okay, so I'm also using ray tracing. That also makes the game look different, like the sunrise, sunset, and stuff. So that also adds to the beauty of what we just saw. Okay. I, again, do not remember what the monument looked like that I was looking for, so we're just going to kind of wander for a little bit. I'm only going to do this part, looking for this sand thing, for maybe another half an hour. And then I got to find some diamonds. I want to get some netherite stuff. At least my netherite armor. I don't really care about my sword or anything. I've got a pickaxe that already has netherite. That's already made of netherite. I would like netherite armor, though. And I'm going to need, if I've got 3 already, and I need helmet, chest, boots, and pants. So I'm going to need at least 2 more upgrades. Because I've got 3, and I want to leave a spare so I can eventually do my weapons as I find more diamonds down the road. But if I get... if I need 3 more, or no, 2 more, I'm gonna need 14 diamonds. That's a lot of diamonds. That's a lot of diamonds. That also makes sense. Yeah, it's, ray tracing is pretty intensive. It really, like, it brings down, like, right now, like, I can't see very far. And I think... I'm only showing a few blocks ahead. I'm not really going that far. If I go to... Is it under video? I think it's under video. Yeah, I'm only doing 8 chunks of render distance. When normally I do 42 chunks. So like it really, really lowers it. I might be able to go up 1 more, but I might be pushing it. I might be pushing it. It's doing okay, but look, we can only see a little bit further. Ray tracing really beats up your GPU. It really, really makes it hard for your GPU to do anything. The only reason I can get away with it on stream is because I'm using 2 PCs. And so I'm able to put all the load on one PC to run the ray tracing while the other PC is taking care of the streaming. It's the only reason I can get away with it. I've never used ray tracing on stream because it was always one PC. But, man, Minecraft is the one game that I really notice a difference when you turn ray tracing on. Other games, you can kind of see it, but if you turn up the other graphics all the way, the ray tracing is a rather minimal difference in comparison to like screen space reflections. Unless you're like looking for it, you won't really notice the difference between ray tracing and screen space. But in Minecraft, ray tracing is like night and day. Ray tracing can make Minecraft look insanely beautiful, and the ray tracing I'm using now is not the best one that's out there. There's a much better one out there. And then when you add different mods, filters, whatever they're called, to the game where like you change the textures of things, texture packs, holy crap, this game can look beautiful. Ray tracing is painful to use. It can be. It definitely can be. Yeah, are you able to save now, Merle? I want to upgrade my PC, but at the same time, I want a second one to stream. Yeah, right now, Trilena, there's not a lot of games that make good benefit or take advantage of ray tracing in a very good way. Some of them do, but there's not a lot of them. Like, it's not like when people started doing 4K gaming and like, or even like 1080p gaming. I was around in the era where we were going from like, 480p was like the highest you could really get. It was like 640 by something. I can't remember what the resolution was. But like that was like the ultimate resolution at the time. And then everybody started moving to like 720p to 1080, and it was a huge leap in graphics. But going from like screen space to ray tracing, honestly, is not that big of a difference. Like for a lot of games. It's a nice feature to have, and when you do look for the differences, yeah, there's a difference. Like Spider-Man, seeing Spider-Man reflected in the windows is a nice little touch. Seeing better reflections of the light bouncing is really nice. But if you don't have it, you don't really miss it. You know what I mean? You're not sitting there going like, yeah, this looks like crap. You're just kind of like, okay, it looks slightly different, but like, whatever. There are games that are released now that don't have ray tracing that I can't tell whether they have ray tracing or not, because they do such a decent job at emulating how ray traced lighting and shadows work that it doesn't really look bad. And so like it's not a huge thing. If you're gonna stream from 2 PCs, my only advice to you would be, don't go overboard with your streaming PC, because you don't really need anything crazy to stream from. Right now I have my PCs reversed. My gaming PC is my weaker one, my streaming PC is my stronger one, but that's more to do with the hardware that's in my gaming PC. Doesn't have all the parts that I need to stream from, so I need to switch stuff around, and I'm just too lazy to do that right now. But like the stream itself, you can get away with a relatively mid-tier computer and still have a decent stream come out of it. You know, like you could get like a 3060 card or a 1660 card, and they're gonna have special chips built into them for streaming specifically, and they'll be able to do 1080p streaming without really breaking a sweat. I would say if you're gonna spend the money, maybe build a somewhat decent gaming PC and then use the weaker one as your streaming PC, or if your main PC is already fairly powerful, then just build a fairly low-end PC to stream from, because unless you're going to be adding a bunch of crazy effects and using a bunch of filters and like green screen with a bunch of special effects on it, then having an ultra heavy PC isn't really going to benefit you in the long run. Cal Pal, hello, how you doing? Welcome. How are you? I'm on the big screen. I finally made it. I'm a movie star. Look, Ma, I'm on Merle's TV. Now, I haven't heard too much about the 1650's performance numbers. I honestly didn't really know about the 1650. I thought 1660 was the lower one. So I can't talk about the 1650. I know the 1660 is a fairly decent mid-tier video card. So I'm gonna guess the 1650 is probably gonna be enough for streaming. Again, I can't speak with any real knowledge because I've never really looked up the 1650. But yeah, like I've got mine is a 2nd generation Ryzen 7, and the game, the PC that's running this game is actually a 1st generation Ryzen 5, I think is what it is. I think it's a 1st generation Ryzen 5. And you can see, like, mind you, I'm using a 3070 in this rig, so the video card is really carrying the game. But yeah, it should be more than enough to stream with. And if you go 720p, then you're laughing for a stream. 1080p, I can't say for sure it's going to be amazing, but it should be fine. Man, I don't know where I'm going. I am slowly moving away in one direction and moving closer in the other. Yes, I'm at work. Are we talking coworker or are we talking client, Tyler? The 1650 is an NVIDIA. It's an NVIDIA. It's their weird naming scheme. It's really weird because they always go like the first 2 numbers are like the generation of card. So there was like the 1070, then there was the next generation was 2070, then the next generation 3070. Now we're in the 4070. I'm using a 3070. But then like the 1650 came out of nowhere. Like 16 doesn't make sense anywhere. But it's because it's supposed to be a mid-tier gaming computer, gaming monitor, but not, or a video card, but not like an entry-level video card. It's supposed to it got rid of some of the features that the mainstream video cards had, while maintaining some of the power from the mainstream video cards. So like the 16 series can't do ray tracing. They don't have the ray tracing chips built into them. So they got rid of the ray tracing, but they kept the higher end RAM and the higher end CPU on it, or the little GPU on it, in order to give it the power. It just doesn't have the ability that the fancier cards have. Crap. Okay, but we're near village. Get in the bed. Get in the bed. Get in the bed. Get out of here. There's more and more of them every night. No, villager. You're not coming in here. I'm sleeping in here. The 6600. Yeah. I haven't followed the AMD cards in a really long time. My first video card was an AMD video card, and I really liked it. I moved over to NVIDIA because my brother and a girlfriend I had at the time bought me one for Christmas, and then I just kind of stuck with NVIDIA after that. But AMD's come a really long way with video cards. All of the above. Oh, dude, I couldn't. I told you before, I couldn't do your job. One, I just don't have the brain fortitude to stay concentrated on that job in general, but 2, I just couldn't deal with people. Especially because taxes can be so convoluted and hard to, like, it's basic, but it can also be very convoluted to make it make sense to people. I know, because I still don't get some of the concepts. So I could just imagine how frustrating it must be when you're trying to teach somebody and they're already not the most wise person to begin with, but then you're trying to teach them something that needs a little bit of concentration to understand, and it will probably be something that they're not willing to hear. Like, you know, it's not going their way for a specific reason, but they don't want to understand why it's not going their way. So like, no thanks, I wouldn't want to do that. Oh, you deal with the production side. Okay. Still though, no thank you. No thank you. The RX 570, yeah. The NVENC codec is the big thing. That's the big thing. The 20 series started with that, and then they added it to the 1650, because if I remember the timeline, it started with the 20 series, then the 1650s came out, and then they had it built into it. And that was like the cheapest card you could get with it built in. But yeah, it makes a huge difference, and they've upgraded. I know in the 30 series they upgraded it. I don't know if the 16 series has had them updated, but they've worked on the NVENC codecs now that when I started streaming, if you used NVENC, it was not very good. It required a lot of bit rate for it to even come close to the CPU comparison. Like the CPU, you could get away with like 2500 bit rate, and it would look okay at 720p. But if you wanted that same quality at 720p with the NVENC, you needed like 5000 bit rate, a bit rate of 5000, and that's the only way you could get it to look good. But that required a lot of power, and then it would, you know, obviously draw away from your gaming. But now it's gotten to the point where it's almost indistinguishable. You could have the same bit rate on CPU as you do on the GPU, and they're gonna look almost exactly the same. They've come a really long way. The NVENC codec is really powerful, and because it's its own chip now, it doesn't. Oh crap! I left my boat. Oh no, I got another one. Haha! I got a spare boat. It doesn't bog down your computer anymore because it's using a totally different chip than it does for the game processing, which is really nice. I'd rather be playing games. Yeah, I don't blame you. Are you serious? 12:30 and they're still not there? No, thank you. I hate that. I hate that. I'm mostly punctual. I try to be right on time. I don't like to be super early. When I'm going to work, I like to be early. I like to sit in my car for a few minutes before going inside. It's kind of like my little unwind before I have to go in and deal with stress. This is usually when I'm working somewhere where I have to be on time. And I don't like that. I don't like the people that are super late. My family is really bad for that. My dad was the worst for it. You know, we would always have the ongoing joke that my dad would be like, I'll be there at 1 o'clock. And we'd all joke with each other going, okay, so he's going to be here at 2:30, guys. Because he was always late. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Like, if you say a certain time, tell me. I also don't mind if people are early, but, like, let me know ahead of time. Don't just appear, you know? Like, just recently, my brother and I had to go pick up equipment for my dad's funeral, like, so we could practice with the band. And we were supposed to meet at 12, and at 11:20, I messaged my brother. I'm like, hey, just seeing if you're up, and, you know, are we still meeting? He's like, I'm outside. I'm like, dude, I just got out of the shower. Like, I was supposed to be having another 40 minutes before we go. Thankfully, he's like, I don't care. I'll wait outside. It's not a big deal. But, like, just give me a heads up. Call me beforehand, being like, hey, I'm leaving now. I'm going to be early. Then I can be like, okay, I can rush and get ready. But, like, don't just show up and be like, I'm here. It's like, damn it, I'm not ready for you. I picked up this boat. Oh, I did pick up the boat. I didn't see it. You're right. You're right. I didn't see it. It was on the right-hand side. I didn't notice it. Duh. I'm too busy talking, so I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, I'm roughly heading the direction back home. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get there, but we're going to try. Sheep. Just in case I don't make it in time. Give me your wool. Give me two. Give me two. Nope. One each. You guys are lame. One more sheep. Give me one more sheep. Until the discuss time. That's how I am. If I'm early, I won't tell you until it's time. I will be early. If I'm gonna like be meeting with friends and stuff, I will leave early. And then I used to do this all the time, and I got the police called on me a couple of times for it. Because for work, you know, I'd go to people's houses, and that was part of my job, is to go to their house to do their healthcare or whatever. And I hate being late, so I used to show up early to clients' houses. But if I was early, I didn't want to go to their house early. I would sit in my car and just kind of unwind for a while, because I didn't get breaks at work. So if I had a few minutes, I would want to just sit in my car and have a few minutes. But I had the cops called on me a few times, because it would just be a suspicious car that would pull into their neighborhood and just park and then just sit in their car. You know, and like in the summertime, my skin's darker and I had my shaved head, so people would assume I was some kind of gangbanger sitting in my car casing the joint. And I never parked near my client. I would always park like a block away or around the corner so they didn't see my car, because I hated it. Because sometimes I would sit down and like I would lean my seat back a bit and I would just be unwinding, and then the patient would see me and then they'd walk outside and knock on my window. You can come in if you want. And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to relax in my car before I have to start my work. So I would park around the corner. But yeah, I got the cops calling me a few times. But yeah, if I have to be somewhere, I try to be early And if I'm early, then I'll just sit in my car and wait till the time that we announced, like the time that we said we're going to meet. I hate being late. And I am one of those people that will message you and be like, I'm going to be late. I'm so sorry. And then I end up being on time. But it's because I don't have enough of a comfortable window for me to say, yeah, I'm going to be fine. It's always like, no, the timing right now says I'm going to be right on time, but you never know. You might reach traffic, or, you know, I might all of a sudden get a flat tire and I'm going to be late. I'm just going to tell them I'm going to be late. I always panic about that. But yeah, it drives me crazy when people are super, super late, or if they show up unannounced early. Just let me know, because I try to time my stuff properly. I try to make sure that like it's all going to flow in time and that I have time to kind of work myself up to get ready. Versus, you know, you just showing up and I'm not ready for you. Okay, so 14,000 blocks. That's a really far way to go. Yeah, Trilana, that was the one place I would always park. After I got the cops called on me a few times for a suspicious vehicle, every time the cops showed up, I ended up being late, even though I was super early. It was really frustrating because they would want my license, they would want to, you know, run a background check to make sure everything was okay. I'd have to show them my work ID, and then they would leave me alone. But by then, it was time to be at my client's house, and then I would end up being late. But yeah, eventually I ended up finding any like burger. It was usually Burger King, because I usually worked the same area all the time. And so there was a Burger King in that area. I'd always go and park at the Burger King, just hang out at the Burger King the whole time. Yeah, we win. Yeah, that's something that I hate. I hate the pop-in. They called it on Seinfeld, the pop-in. I don't like the pop-in. Don't just show up at my house. Don't just show up at my house. I could like you very, very much. I could think you're like the coolest person. You could be my best friend in the world. Don't just show up. Because this might just be the neurodivergent side of me. I know, right? I am suspicious. It's true. It's very true. You look at me and you're like, that guy's up to no good. That guy, I'm telling you. Especially when I had my mustache. That bald guy with a mustache. He's up to something. I don't know what it is. He's been eyeing your cat really weird. You should make sure that you put him away. I was just watching a video about Colleen Ballinger's apology, and they brought up Shane Dawson and the whole cat thing, so that's why that popped in mind. Yeah, they saw the painted nails. They're like, something's wrong with this guy. He's got painted nails. It's a signal for something. One friend like that. Oh, I hate that, Weewin. I hate it so much. I really do. It just bothers me. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Getting a hoodie, that's cool. But yeah, it might be the neurodivergent part of me, but like I'm very much the type of person that I kind of like pre-plan what I'm doing throughout the day. Like I have an idea of how I want my day to go. And if things get changed, even if it's nothing important, right? Like if it goes from being, come on, let me sleep. Like today, let's say, let's use today as an example. My plan was get up, shower, and have breakfast and do my stream. But let's say I get up and then all of a sudden I can't shower because something spilled in the tub, and now I have to spend 20 minutes cleaning the tub. It didn't do anything really. It didn't ruin my day in any way. It didn't add or remove anything from my day. It was just an inconvenience that threw off my routine. That is enough to wreck my whole day because I've got my day set in my head, and then all of a sudden it got changed, and now I feel like I'm constantly trying to catch up to my routine. Even if I'm back on track, I feel like I have to catch up to my routine. And that drives me crazy. So when somebody just shows up at your door, I feel like that. I feel like the whole day is now me trying to catch up to what I was expecting to do, but I can't because somebody showed up and was here for an hour when I wasn't planning for that hour to be with them. It drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. But that's really cool, Trilena. That's so awesome. Girl Thulu works with NZXT, I think. I think that's really cool. I love when PC companies get involved with like community events or get involved with content creators, because you always hear about things like, what's it called? Elgato is doing some kind of collaboration, or NordVPN doing some kind of collaboration. The chair guys, the one that Tyler won, the fancy gaming chair, I can't remember what it's called. They always do collaborations and stuff, but like hearing that a PC company does one, it's really cool. I wish I could work with a PC company. That'd be awesome. I'll just act like I'm not home. Yeah, I usually do the same thing, but like everybody in my life knows I'm the only one that drives, and Atlanta doesn't drive. So if my car's in the driveway, then I'm home. So there's no hiding for me. There's no hiding. Secret Labs, that's the one. Secret Labs does a lot of collaborations. I wouldn't mind working with Secret Labs. I do like my chair. It's a mesh chair. I do use a seat cushion right now because I'm not accustomed to sitting for long periods right now because I only stream for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I do like the mesh chairs. I've never used a Secret Lab chair, so I will definitely put that as a little asterisk. I've never used a Secret Labs chair, so I can't speak directly about Secret Labs in any way. But I have a gaming chair that I bought that cost almost the same price as this, and it was horrible. Oh, get out of here. It was horrible. It was so uncomfortable. The cushion, although you would sit for the first 15 minutes and it was super comfy, the foam that they used sank down to nothing within an hour, and you were down on the plain wood, and it was so uncomfortable by the end of the stream. Because it was the fake leather, you would get sweaty and hot in the chair. It was not a comfortable chair to sit in. This one, on the other hand, because it's the mesh sling, it's breathable, so it doesn't get too hot. It's got all the the different supports that I can change. I can change where the armrests are. I can change the lumbar support, and it's a proper lumbar support piece. I can move the neck piece. So I really, really like it, but this is a budget one. It's not one of the $1,000 ones. It's one of the $200 chairs. So the mesh is starting to slowly soften, and it's eventually not going to provide a lot of support. But I've heard a lot of really good things about Secret Labs, that they're the only gaming chair that actually is comfortable to sit on long term. Can't hide either. Both cars are home. Exactly, we went. It's the worst. It's the worst. 2 streams per week and participate in a lot of events. That's cool. That's so cool. Have in mind I have really long hair. That's awesome though. The fact that you cut your hair for that's cool. Yeah, I would love to be part of events like that, getting some free stuff. That'd be cool. I never apply to those things. Tyler just won. For those who don't know, Tyler's on TikTok. Tyler is a friend of mine. He lives relatively close. And he does game collection videos and stuff, and he's a really knowledgeable person about game prices and retro gaming and stuff. He's more knowledgeable about retro gaming stuff than I am. And he just won a thing through GameStop, EB Games, whatever. He just won a thing through them where he won a bunch of Switch peripherals and a new chair. It's so cool. I've never won stuff like that. Never. One of my friends right now is holding an event. Actually, she's going to give the prize out soon, for a free copy of Silent Hill 1. And there are very few games that I absolutely want in my collection. One of them was the Ninja Turtles Arcade NES edition, which I have. Another was the Mario 1, 2, and 3 collection in the NES. I have those. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, I have that one. And then there's Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is stupidly expensive. Silent Hill, which is stupidly expensive, and Resident Evil 2. I just bought Resident Evil 2 recently. It's not the classic big disc case one. It's the small greatest hits collection one. But I have it. Hey, there's a ship here. All right, everybody. Hold on. Get out of here. How do I... Hold on. Is it... Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Get ready to laugh. Get ready to laugh. What button is it, though? Is it this one? Nope. What button is it? Hold on. There it is. All right, everybody. I am a billionaire, and the Titanic is down there. Wait, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Why is this open? Close that. Hold on. I'll do it on TikTok too. Boom. All right, I am a billionaire, and down there is the Titanic. We are going to take our submarine down there. The submarine is me holding my breath for a really, really long time. The experts have told me that this is a bad idea, and I really shouldn't do it. But I told them, nuh-uh, I know better than you. My mum told me so. So I'm gonna go down there by holding my breath. What could possibly go wrong? Let's do it. Oh, this is wonderful. Look how great it is. I can't breathe! I can't breathe! Why didn't they tell me? Emergency! Was that tasteless? Yes, it was. Do I care? Not really. Oh, I'm gonna go to hell. That's okay. Preston, how you doing, man? How's it going? Break out the Logitech controller, 100%. Oh, man. I feel bad for laughing at this. I don't. I really don't. Well, we were talking about this yesterday. You know, it's different if they were doing something where it was inherently known to be safe, where like everybody has already, you know, everything's certified, everything is done to the best of the ability of everybody, and they're using the latest technology. But like, oh crap, I'm running out of air. But like, everybody was warned that this was dangerous and they shouldn't do it. Everybody was told, hey, this is a really bad idea. Not only that, but the company was going on and on about how they had worked with NASA, and they were, you know, working through NASA and a couple of like universities and all this stuff. And reporters reached out to NASA and them, and like NASA was like, we did a video call with them where they just asked us some questions. The other company was like, we suggested a few things, they weren't willing to listen, so we didn't help them. They didn't work with these companies. These people flat out lied. And then they got a bunch of people killed. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. Like, at all. I feel bad for the kid. That's the one I feel bad for. Everybody else, I don't care. You guys are idiots. Simple as that. It's true, Tyler. I might be there soon. That's what I get for laughing at those billionaires. But yeah. Anyways, so I've got the Resident Evil Collectors thing, and Silent Hill and Conker's Bad Fur Day are the only games that like I'm desperate to get. Conker's Bad Fur Day, I'm down to the point where like I'm probably gonna buy a reproduction cart, which is just basically a dumped ROM on a chip put in a fake case that you can buy. It's a fake copy of the game, basically. Just so I can have it and I can play it on real hardware. Silent Hill, on the other hand, is the problem because it's a PlayStation game and you can't really get a reproduction cart. You can get like an emulation thing going, which I may have or may not have done before for every Halloween. But I don't have a physical copy. And one of my friends who manages a gaming store, a retro gaming store in the States, is doing a giveaway. And that is what she is giving away, is a copy of Silent Hill. And like, I don't think I'm gonna win, but oh my god, I think I would cry if I did, because I have wanted that game for so damn long and I've never had a chance to get it. The one time I had it within reach, it was so scratched it was unusable, and then the guy at the store took it from me because he said he couldn't sell it to me that way and that they were going to try to resurface it. And then I just never got a copy of it. And so like, I'm super upset about it. I want one so bad. You didn't enter on purpose just to increase my odds? I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's so I would love that game so bad. So bad. I don't think I'm gonna win, but oh my god, would I ever love to. Would I ever love to. Nice, Trilena. Yeah, The Last of Us was such a great game. It's such a good game. We win. I think it is. I think she said that July 1st or 3rd is when she's going to be picking a winner. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath. I applied just because it was easy enough to apply. And they've done one of these giveaways before, so I was like, but what's the harm, right? Like, it's gonna take a few seconds of my effort And we'll see. If I don't win, I don't win. It's not like I bought tickets or anything. But man, it would be so cool. It'd be so cool. Because Silent Hill is like, it's the one franchise I don't have any merch for. I don't have a shirt. I don't have any toys. I don't have plushies. I got nothing for Silent Hill. Nothing at all. And even like physical copies of games, the only game I own from Silent Hill physically is Silent Hill Downpour, which is like the last game in the series because it did such a terrible job. But I'm a giant fan of Silent Hill, and specifically of Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1 is like my all-time favorite survival horror game outside of Resident Evil. And Resident Evil I categorize more as like a zombie game. And Silent Hill is such a great survival horror game. I'm not sure why they chose Silent Hill 2 to remake before doing Silent Hill 1. Because Silent Hill 2 remake is obviously guaranteed to be a success, but I would have loved to see a Silent Hill 1 remake. Because I think that storyline is so good that giving it a fresh coat of paint with new mechanics could absolutely make that game phenomenal for most of the world. And then you know, guaranteed number 2 would do amazing. So it would have been easy money for them. So I'm kind of upset they didn't do number 1. But number 1 is my all-time favorite. I love the story. I love just like the overall feel of the game. It was less of a psychological thriller and more of a tension building game. Like the whole time you just felt tense. Whereas number 2 was more about like screwing with your perception of what was going on. So they both have very different approaches to the same situation. And I love number 1. I love number 1 so much. When I won the chair, I said, I'm winning this chair. I'm hoping I win. I'm hoping I win. You know, she's got a decent following. But it's not a gigantic following, right? Like, it's not like there's going to be 1 million people applying. So, like, I'm feeling like my odds are better than they would be anywhere else. Like, they would definitely be better than applying for, like, the GameStop thing you did. So, like, I do feel hopeful. I just don't want to get my hopes up to be heartbroken if and when I don't win. You know what I mean? I'd rather just not be heartbroken. But, it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. Yeah, number 1 is when Harry's chasing his daughter. And I just loved that feeling of like this man who's just an everyman and he's just looking for his daughter. And he's just trapped in this like dark place and doesn't know what's going on and is just so confused. And like everybody around him is kind of weird, but they're still relatively normal. They don't really make sense with what they're saying, but they're relatively normal. Whereas like Silent Hill 2, everybody was just weird. And so you were always left not really knowing what the hell was going on in the sense of like, why is everybody saying these things? I don't understand what's happening. Whereas Silent Hill is kind of like, these people are all in the same situation I'm in and we're all stuck, but I've got something I got to take care of, so I can't help them. And I liked that perspective. Plus like just the whole idea of the dad looking for his daughter, being so desperate and willing to do whatever it takes to be with her, to me was just such a compelling reason for him to do everything he was doing. Whereas like Silent Hill 2, and I'm not saying this because Silent Hill 2 sucks or anything. I loved Silent Hill 2. But Silent Hill 2, it required a bit of disbelief if you're not an overly, not spiritual, but like if you're not super connected to like the paranormal, it requires a certain suspension of reality to believe that he drove all this way because he received a letter from somebody he saw die. So from the start, you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of a reach, but let's go with it. Whereas Silent Hill is more like, no, it's just this guy who got in an accident and he's looking for his daughter. Like, there's just no need to feel like you have to kind of believe something that's unbelievable. And as it progresses, it becomes unbelievable. So I liked that about it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Silent Hill 2, what I love about Silent Hill 2, and I think is where it beats out Silent Hill 1, is the story writing. The second Titanic. Let's hold our breath again. Silent Hill 1 tells a relatively... Oh! Yes! Yes! We did it! It didn't even mean to, but we did it! Nice! Cool. Done. Done and done. That's not what I meant to do, but we did it. That's the template that I've been looking for this whole time. So we're heading home now, but now we have the template, which is exactly what I wanted all along. This is perfect. Did I grab my... Okay. Anyways, where Silent Hill 2 absolutely destroys Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 1 is a pretty straightforward story. Man looking for his daughter, finds a bunch of weird stuff is happening in this town as he uncovers the history of the town. There's no deeper layer. There's no, oh my god, that's what it meant all along. It's just very, hey, this is what's happening. Which I enjoy. I like that. I like games that leave it open to interpretation, but I guess the neurodivergent side in me, I just want a straight answer. And with open-ended games, it's very hard to get that straight answer. So I think that's why I lean to 1 more than anything else. But number 2 is very layered in the hints it drops, in the things it says, in the representation of the things you see, which make it so much more complex. And I'll use myself as an example. I beat Silent Hill 2, and I knew it was messed up, but I didn't appreciate how deeply messed up it was until a few years ago when I started doing research on it for videos. That's when I started to really see the, oh my god, that's what that, oh my god. And that is something that not a lot of games can do. Not a lot of games can you go back to it years later with a different mindset and all of a sudden realize that there's an even deeper layer than what you originally thought. That's something that really makes it a masterpiece. That is something that is not easy to achieve in any video game or storytelling medium at all. Let alone a horror game, which is so niche. Because the truth is, horror is very hard to do well without going into tacky territory. And it's very hard at this point to be surprising with horror, right? A lot of horror stories tend to be the same thing retold in different ways. This managed to be a surprise and to be layered in a very complex way. It's honestly like a writing masterpiece. And it deserves the love that it has. Silent Hill 1 can't compete. It can't. But I still think Silent Hill 1 is a great game in its own way. For sure. Oh, absolutely. I still haven't beaten MGS3. Because at the time I wasn't really in a survival game, so I couldn't balance. I know it's not really a survival game, but it has like you have to feed yourself, and if you like hurt yourself, you have to heal yourself in a specific way, and then the different camouflages. So you're like in the right camouflage in the right area, and if not, you're gonna stick out. Like I wasn't good at that, so I struggled, and I ended up not beating the game. I'm really excited for the whole collection that they're announcing because I absolutely want to play through all of them on stream. I am a gigantic Metal Gear fan, except for the last one. I thought the last one sucked. But I know what the conclusion was because I partially watched my brother play it, and then obviously through the years and reviews I've learned. But yeah, that game, the whole series is a mindfuck. And it's convoluted. You know, Hideo is not one to write a straightforward story, and he very much goes into the more complicated it is, the better the story is in his mind. So obviously it's not for everybody because it can get so complicated, and not everybody wants to do 10 minutes of gameplay, 20 minutes of cutscenes, which a lot of Metal Gear is. But I love it. And I think David Hayter's amazing. Metal Gear. I'm so mad they got rid of him as the voice. Because, Colonel, he's the best voice for Snake. I hated that. Nothing against Kiefer. Kiefer's great. He's a great actor, but no, man, you're not Snake. You're not Snake. I think David Hayter's Canadian. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. I didn't know this until years later. One of my brother and I's favorite movies growing up was Guyver. Guyver is about like some alien that infects a guy, and then he can like get this like exoskeleton suit that has like blades on his elbows. And David Hayter was in that movie. And he played the guy that was Guyver. My brother and I loved that movie. And then a few years later, we loved Metal Gear. And then as adults, we found out that David Hayter was the voice of Snake, who was the guy in Guyver. So crazy. But yeah, no, Metal Gear is another series that's so complicated. And like, even now, I still don't understand all the details of it. But damn, Metal Gear is such a good series. Such a good series. Okay, so we're almost home because that's the cherry blossom field that we found last time, right? So 9,000 blocks. We should get home soon. But yeah, the Silent Hill series is such a sad series because the first 2 games were so good. The third is a love-hate relationship for most of the community, it seems. You know, either you absolutely love it or you absolutely hate it. And most people hate 4. I liked 4. I thought 4 was cool. It didn't feel like a Silent Hill, but it was a really cool concept. It wasn't supposed to be a Silent Hill, but it was a really cool concept, and I really enjoyed it. 3, I haven't been able to play through. I've tried it a few times on my own, and I've tried it on stream a couple of times. But I find that I don't really understand what's happening, so I feel unmotivated, and then I get bored, and then I don't move forward. I do know certain details about Silent Hill 3 that kind of have given away the story for me, which is kind of a bummer, but I am hoping to play that eventually too. Like I said, I liked 4. A lot of people hate 4. I liked 4. I've tried playing Homecoming a few times. Can't get through that one. I wasn't a big fan of Shattered Memories. Preston and I played through that one. I wasn't a huge fan of it just because it was supposed to be a reimagining of the first one, and I didn't like the direction they took with it. It was a fun game. It just, I felt it shouldn't have been a reimagining of the first. It should have just been its own thing. Downpour I played twice on stream, and it seemed interesting, but that's the one everybody hated. And then the series pretty much died. There were a few handheld versions or whatever, but yeah, that was pretty much it. So I'm excited for all this new Silent Hill stuff that's coming out. I'm hoping that they'll do it justice. I'm hoping Konami won't Konami it up. And that whatever company, I think Bluebird is doing the remake, I hope that they do, or a Blooper, is that what their name? I don't know, something like that. I'm hoping they'll do a good job. They did Blair Witch, and Blair Witch was something that you either hate it or you love it. I loved Blair Witch up until the very last 2 hours of the game. The last 2 hours of the game dragged on way too much. But up until then, I thought it was amazing. So I'm hoping they will do a good job with Silent Hill 2. Okay. 9,000. Let me out. This is the part that sucks. I'm trying to just go in a straight line, and I've got to go in this giant circle because stuff is in the way. Ugh. Okay, we're getting there, though. I hear skeletons. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a remake of Silent Hill 1. There's a few games I wouldn't mind seeing remade. I'm really excited for the Metal Gear collection. Especially because I've played the NES one a couple of times, never got anywhere in it, but I played it a couple of times. I really want to try the game that it was based on, the MSX version, the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. I really want to play those because apparently those are phenomenal games, and I've never played either of them. And then I want to replay through Metal Gear 1, 2, and 3. There's quite a few games I wouldn't mind seeing redone. We were just talking about Shredder's Revenge. That was really cool to have that kind of, not a remake, but a continuation of the original arcade-style Turtle games that were out for the NES and SNES. So cool to see that. I wouldn't mind something like that. I wish. Obviously, I'm not going to get my wish anytime soon, but I wish Nintendo would do that with Super Mario World. Give us another... Super Mario Wonder is like a new take on the 2D Mario thing, but I would love to see... Super Mario World, like the SNES game, have its own new game. Use the same graphic style, add some new mechanics, but use that same art style and give us a new game. I would love to have that. Do you know how easy it would be to like make money off the nostalgia you would get? Just because a lot of people my age that were into Mario are still into Mario as adults. I could just imagine how crazy people would go if they saw what was one of the best Mario games have a successor after so many years. Yeah, me too. Me too. I think my guess is that Yoshi's Island is... It's not a divisive game, but like a bunch of the Yoshi games that came out afterwards, they kind of went down the same route as Kirby, where they became very childlike. And the first Yoshi's Island, it was childlike in the art, but it was still very difficult. But I feel like they really leaned into the easy difficulty, and so it became much more associated with children. And so it became less of a general passion game for people, is the feeling I get. At least that's the feeling I got from a lot of the Mario community. That like the first Yoshi's Island everybody loved, and then after that it just kind of became a, yeah, I guess. So my guess is maybe that's why they didn't really do anything. But I would love to see another Yoshi's Island proper, not like this Yoshi's Woolly World and all that stuff. Like, which those games look fun, but like I want something that had that bit of a challenge like Yoshi's Island did. There's a lot of stuff Nintendo could do that would like easy money for them. Not that they need it. Obviously they're super successful. They don't really need an easy money route, but like if they just took some of those old IPs and went back to that style of like slight difficulty, the old 16-bit graphics, like it would be easy for them. Or like the reverse. You know how they did the I can never remember what it's called. The Link game that came out on the Game Boy, and then they redid a color one, DX, Link's Awakening. And then they redid it on the Switch with that new engine. I don't understand why they haven't. They have the engine and the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, whatever those ones were called. Those ones run on the exact same engine as the Link's Awakening did on the Game Boy. So I don't think it would be an obscene amount of work for them to just remake those games on the Switch. Like, it would be very easy for them to remake those games on the Switch with that engine. Or do A Link to the Past with that engine. Or even the one that came out on the 3DS. The one where Link could go 2D and flat in the world, that one, they could redo that one on the same engine. Like, there's a handful of games that they could do in a relatively short amount of time with a relatively small effort. You know, obviously it's still going to be a lot of work because they have to redo a whole game, but it's not like rebuilding an engine from scratch. They have it all there. And the assets are there because they used a lot of the same assets in all the games. And it would be such an easy cash cow for them because I would buy them hands down. Absolutely, I'd be buying them without even thinking. But like a 16-bit Mario World game sequel would be awesome. A Kirby game, but like not the Kirbys they've been releasing. Like go back to like the 16-bit Kirby All-Star style game or Kirby Superstar or whatever it was called. Go to that style game, make another one of those. You know, with just a slight increase in the difficulty so you still have to put some effort into beating the game. You know, it would be really cool. Or like give us another, you know, 16-bit Zelda or even like an 8-bit Zelda or whatever bit the Game Boy was. Give us another Zelda like that. Like I wouldn't mind stuff like that. I think it would be really cool. It'd be an easy cash cow for them. There's a whole, you know what? Oh, no, I know what happened. I'm heading back to my original base, and this is not where I teleported from. I teleported from my second base, which I don't remember what the plot points were. Dang. So we're just kind of wandering now. Oh, well, we've already made it 4,000 blocks. We could do 8,000 more. That's fine. But yeah, we're living in a world right now where a lot of us that are in our 30s, getting into our 40s, grew up with a lot of these retro games that are no longer really around. There's a huge market in nostalgia to begin with. They could easily dip into that market and have much smaller teams create games that require far less complexity, you know, like 16-bit style games, which could work on a smaller team than something like Mario Odyssey. Do it in a relatively short amount of time and have a bunch of games come out that would hit that nostalgia thing. Shredder's Revenge was like the perfect example of that. It's not anything revolutionary. It's literally doing... Whoa, what happened to me? Am I zombified? Oh, the desert guy. It's nothing revolutionary. And even right now, I was playing the third level. Not now, but last night I was playing the third level. And it's one of those skateboarding levels. They used a remake or a reimagining of the original song from one of the NES or from the Super Nintendo Turtles game. Even that wasn't a lot of crazy effort. Like that, and people loved it. And it's been praised as such a great game. Nintendo could do the same thing. They really could. It would be so cool to see the reimagining of older 16-bit games with smaller teams just kind of coming out, and have it fill in. Instead of Nintendo releasing like one epic game every 4 years, they could do like one epic game every 4 years, and then every year and a half or so have one of these reimagined sequels. Obviously, we would burn out. They would do it until we burned out, but I think it would be a really good idea. But I'm also old and totally into nostalgia, so I could be very, very, very biased about it. $7,000. Too many bad guys for me to try to sleep. I think this is night 2 that I haven't slept, so we're gonna run into phantoms soon. Go, go, go. There's a village. Oh, it's daytime, so we're good. What a long distance. Holy crap. Should have paid attention to where my other base is. I wish there was... there is a way, actually. I can make one of those compass things that would guide me right back to my base. I should do that. I should make a second compass point so I could use a compass to get back to my base, to my other portal. I don't remember what the recipe is, but that's something I can do. Speaking of 3DS, I don't have a 3DS anymore, but I'm tempted to buy one. They're a bit expensive, though. I saw that there's certain people on Etsy that sell modified 3DSs that kind of do like the R4 thing, but you don't need a card. But they're like $300. But it has access to pretty much everything. I'm a big fan of 3D. I don't care how much of a gimmick it was, how much the rest of the world hated it. I'm part of that very small community that absolutely loved the 3D thing that they did for a while with TVs and all that. And I thought the 3DS was so cool. I loved the 3D factor in the 3DS. I thought it was awesome. I wish that it would have gained more traction. It didn't add anything to the... No, it didn't change the gameplay in any significant way, but I felt like it added just a little bit of extra detail. It's like going from 720 to 1080p. Is there a gigantic difference? No. The game is still going to be relatively the same, but having that little bit of extra resolution lets you see a little bit further, or a few more details. Having it in 3D just allows that little bit of extra immersion in the game. I loved it. I loved the 3D thing. I think the 3DS was such a great, great console. It's like 3D TVs. I've got one of those Sony 3D TVs, the one that came out for the PlayStation 3. So frustrating because they called it a PlayStation television. And then there's the PlayStation TV, which was basically a screenless PlayStation Vita. So anytime you look up the PlayStation 3D or the PlayStation TV, that pops up, but there was a separate actual TV that was that, and Sony only supported it for like a year, maybe 2. Now I've got one of those and I love it. I've got the glasses for it and everything, and it still works, but they're very, very notorious for breaking. There's a problem with one of the chips, and there's no way to fix it outside of getting a replacement chip put in, but they're very hard to get, apparently, if I recall. So it's one of those, like, once it dies, you're going to either pay more than what the TV was worth when it was new, or you're just not going to find the piece. Like, it's not easy to repair. So I almost never use it because I don't want it to die. But I feel bad not using it because it's not it's not something that a lot of people have, and it's really, really cool. I loved it. I loved that PlayStation television. I thought it was so cool. I like 3D television. It's just too bad no streaming networks ever picked up on supporting 3D movies and stuff. Netflix did for a bit. I know we bought my dad a 3D television for his Father's Day, which I actually think they left at the house that they sold. And it had 3D, and it was a Sony television, and they had a deal with Netflix that certain movies would be supported on it. And so I remember they had like 3 movies, and one of them was The Croods was in 3D on that TV. But I've tried looking it up on like my my VR to see if it had it, or to see it up on my PlayStation if it supported it, and I guess they took it down. Something about bandwidth, but then I think to myself, you know, 4K HDR with Dolby Vision and all that stuff, like, wouldn't that require a bunch of bandwidth too? So like if you're doing a 1080p in 3D, I would think it would be at least the same as that. But obviously it just wasn't worth the investment. Nobody cared about 3D. I love 3D. Oh my gosh, we've only gone 2,000 blocks. We got 6 more to go. Whoops. Oh, well, we're on the boat. Let's go. Yeah, Trilena. And 3D TVs were expensive, period. Like, they never really became cheap. You know, I had a lower end 3D television, and I still paid like $800 for it. And it wasn't huge. Like, I think it was a 40-inch 3D television. It was only 1080p, and the 3D was only 720p. And it was still, you know, that's still fairly expensive for a somewhat small TV with not a very high resolution. And people weren't interested, so they just didn't continue to push it. I'm a big fan of new technology, especially if it's a technology that I'm interested in, like VR. I am a huge fan of VR, and so like I want the PlayStation VR too. I'm keeping an eye out on the Quest 3. I don't know if I'll get that one because I've got the Quest 2, and it doesn't really, it's not, the upgrade to the Quest 3 isn't enough for me to be like, yeah, I definitely need the Quest 3. It seems like it's more of a sideways move rather than a big upgrade. So I'm going to wait for the Quest 3 to see how it does and see if people are really noticing a big difference, or if through updates they can make it really noticeable. But the PlayStation VR, I really want it. Do I need it? No, I've got the Quest, but I still really want it. You know, I'm a big fan of tech. Like, a really big fan of tech. Like, if they come out with a PlayStation 5 Pro, there would be a very high temptation for me to get the PlayStation 5 Pro, even though I've got a PS5. I really like technology. So when the 3D TV thing was out, I've been obsessed with 3D since I was a kid. Like, since I was really little. When they used to do like the 3D movies for special movies in the theaters, I would go and I would always see the 3D version. Then when they started doing 3D at home, you know, it was still when the TVs were like $8,000. And so there was no way I was going to afford it. I was a teenager at the time. I wasn't working enough to be able to afford that. But there was an app called IZ3D. And what it would do, it was very similar to the app now Vorpex. It would take the data that you had in your game, and it would be able to use that data to figure out what was further away and what was closer. And then it would make it into 3D. And then they had the paid version that you could use with NVIDIA Vision, it was called. And it was a whole setup. You could buy the monitor and you get the glasses, and it would have a little sensor. And the sensor would read the refresh rate of the monitor, and it would send the signal to the glasses so you could see it in 3D. I never bought one of those. It was fairly expensive. But IZ3D had a free version where it would do the whole 1950s cyan and red, or cyan and blue, or whatever it was. The two eye colors, you know, the pink and blue. That if you could get those glasses, you could do it for free. You would obviously lose some of the color, but you would still get 3D out of it. And at the time, there used to be Blockbuster, and Blockbuster, you used to be able to buy those 3D glasses, but the one in my neighborhood didn't have them. And so this is how ghetto I was. I went to the dollar store. I bought the safety glasses you would get for like construction stuff. They were like clear safety glasses. And then I took a Sharpie marker and colored it in so it would get the colors to get 3D. And I wore those proudly to play my 3D games using IZ3D for free and playing games like Left 4 Dead or whatever in 3D. Now, my PC wasn't very powerful, so it would struggle a lot to get it to work properly. But I was obsessed. So when 3D televisions became feasible, when they became affordable, the TV that I have now, my 3D TV, it just occurred to me. I completely forgot about this. I had bought one and I returned it because I felt bad. Because it was expensive and there weren't a lot of games for the PlayStation that were compatible with 3D. So I returned it. And then my dad saw that I returned it. He saw how excited I was. He saw that I returned it. So for Christmas, he took me out on Boxing Day to buy it. And the one I have is the one he bought me. And I loved it. I loved it. I got access to a bunch of 3D movies and I watched a bunch of 3D movies on it. And I loved it. I loved it. I love 3D TV. But it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. PS5 is 1,000. Holy crap. That's insane, Trilana. That's insanely expensive. Like, the PlayStation is expensive here. The PlayStation's like almost $800 here. But damn, that's expensive. That's really expensive. It's like $750 here. There were $700 or $750 here. Because I think the PSVR is slightly more expensive. No, the PSVR is less expensive than the disc version. So yeah, I think it's like $750 or $800 here for the PS5. But Canadian dollars aren't worth very much. And we have some weird tax stuff that happens that makes stuff expensive for us. That's crazy, Trilon. It's like Brazil. Brazil has really expensive prices for gaming. But yeah, no, that would make sense why you wouldn't be able to try a lot of technology stuff. The benefit I have is well, not benefit. I'm very irresponsible with money. But I'm also, you know, I'm an adult with not a whole bunch of responsibilities. So like I can spend money on dumb things sometimes. I also have a fairly decent job. I'm not rich by any means. I don't make money to be able to say like, yeah, I've got money to spare. I barely make enough to make ends meet, but I make more than some people out there, and I can't complain. I can't buy super expensive dumb things, but I can buy my dumb things every once in a while. I am loaded. I'm so loaded. I'm just trying to pretend like I'm poor so you give me money. You know? That girl already tried the whole, like, you guys are getting free entertainment and like $5 a month. That's like nothing. And if you're watching this stuff, you can afford $5 a month. She already tried that and it didn't work. So I'm going to go for the I'm really poor and I need your help. Yeah, Argentina is another one that hits the news a lot when it comes to the prices of things. Yeah, Argentina gets pretty hit with the prices of electronics. I have heard on the news more than once about how Argentina does not have a great system for electronics and stuff. No, I completely understand. And I'm from El Salvador, so I get it. I completely get it. I'm just lucky that I live in Canada now. Yeah. Yeah, here, 32 gigs of RAM. You're getting pretty close here in Canada. In Canada, you're looking at like $80 for 32 gigs of RAM for like basic 32 gigs. Yeah, you're looking around that price. I think it's like $60 for 16 gigs or $40 for 16 gigs, something like that. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the prices in a while, but I do need to get RAM on this computer. But yeah, no, electronics are expensive to begin with. But yeah, when you live in a place like Argentina, Brazil, there's all the extra taxes and all the extra like rules that the governments put when it's crossing borders. And yeah, it makes it almost impossible for an average person to just be able to buy something really basic. You bought it for $4.99. Jeez, I wish. Oh, that's too bad, Weewin. I'm glad you're not bummed about it, though. But that's still too bad. That's still too bad. Oh my gosh. I've been live for almost 2 hours. In the last, what, 20 minutes, I've been just trying to get back to my base. Come on. I just want to make my armor. I wanted to look for some diamonds, but I've already been live for 2 hours. Let's get some diamonds going here. Oh, nice try, Lena. Yeah, sometimes certain companies either... Oh no, this is the one that was near the base. This is the one I found that was within the hills. Okay. This has got to be getting close to the base then. We should hopefully be there in about 10 minutes. Sometimes you get companies that find ways to kind of... Maybe not get around the law, but kind of bend the rules to get things cheaper sometimes. There's a place here in my province... that's really, really famous because it's an Asian mall, basically. It's called Pacific Mall. A lot of people from Ontario know it, and a lot of Canadians know it in general. But it's this, like, they call it a mall, but it's really like a big warehouse that's just like split into cubicles. It almost looks like a flea market. And they import a bunch of stuff from like China, from Japan. They have a lot of like Vietnamese and Japanese little like food booths there. And it's all stuff that you would never find here. I don't know how rare stuff is there now, because obviously the world is a lot more international than it used to be. But like when I was a kid, getting something from Japan was not easy. You weren't going to just find something that was exclusive to Japan at a store that you were at. You were going to have to, you know, pay for shipping, and it was going to cost you double or triple the price of whatever it was. So it wasn't really worth it for a lot of people, but Pacific Mall used to get it for you. And they would charge you almost what it was worth normally. Like you wouldn't pay much extra. Hold on. Oh, of course he sent. Give me a second. My brother's just sent me a voice message. I hear what he has to say. Give me a second. I'm just muting. Okay, it was nothing pertinent, nothing super important. Anyways, you got your first experience from Pocky? Yeah. Oh man, Pockies are great. Yeah, so what I was getting at, exactly what Tyler was saying. You're on Twitch, so you don't see what Tyler's saying, but exactly what Tyler's saying. The big thing with Pacific Mall was you could get a bunch of import stuff, and that was like the obvious legal part of the store. They would import things and get them for you, and the prices were not much more than what you would pay normally. Like if you could get at the time when I was going there, it was like PlayStation 2 was the big thing, but like if you could get a PlayStation 2 for like $299 in Canada, you were going to pay $350, maybe $399, like $100 extra bucks to get like a rare Japanese pink version of the PlayStation. And so like that extra $100 was worth it, because if you were going to ship it in from Japan with the conversion rates and then the shipping from Japan to wherever they were going to ship it to, and then from there to Canada, and then like the duty charges and stuff, you were going to end up paying sometimes up to $600-700 for that same thing. So it was worth it to go to Pacific Mall. But what Tyler was saying, there was a bunch of bootleg stuff there. So you could get like every movie you could think of. You could get every burnt game you ever wanted. You could get your consoles modified there. I got my Wii modified there the first time I ever modified a Wii. Afterwards, I did it myself. But like, you could get a modified Wii there with like they had packets like full of games, and you could either buy games individually that was like $5 a game, or you could buy like $10 for $40. And you would just go and you would get all this stuff at Pacific Mall. Recently, there was, I think it was a shooting that was there. Something happened there. Something violent happened there. I don't know if they're open right now. But like that was the place you would go to get all that stuff, and you would get amazing anime there because obviously being imports from Japan, you could get a bunch of stuff that wasn't available here. It was cool. I loved Pacific Mall. I didn't go very often because from where I was living, it was about a 2-hour drive, and I was a teenager, and 2 hours of gas is uh-oh. Okay, I'm safe. Ooh. That was not good. Wait, I'm still getting cold? Let me down. Oh, I'm still in the snow. What the hell? Okay, am I safe now? Okay. Whew. All right. Let's take a second to regroup ourselves here. Gnocchi, nice. Maybe try that. Or maybe they do think that. Ooh, stir fry, nice. The game is going okay, Chad. I'm still stuck. I'm 3,000 blocks away now, but I fell into a snowfield and I was in soft snow, which in this game causes damage. So I'm trying to like dig my way out without falling into the snow. Hopefully we can get out without dying. Yeah, the whole thing with Colleen is everywhere right now. It is blowing up. The sad part of all of it is it's getting all this media attention. Like it's hitting mainstream media. That's pretty big when it's hitting mainstream media. When you have people that are on regular TV reacting to her, it's you know it's gone bad. The sad part is you know nothing's gonna happen to her. You know that all she's gonna do is eventually go silent unless her egotism gets in the way, because she's obviously a narcissist. Unless her own ego gets in the way, if she just shuts up and waits a few months, she'll be able to come right back, and as if nothing ever happened. She might lose a few sponsors for a little while, and then once people stop the outrage, the sponsors will come back, because businesses don't care. They only step away from people because they don't want the outrage to hit them. They don't want their dollar to be hurt. And if they act like they care and they step away, then the outrage continues to be directed at the person, and the company can continue making money. But once the outrage stops, the company can start sponsoring her again, and then she'll be fine. So the sad part is she's gonna be fine. She's just an idiot for taking it the way she did. She should have just sat with her mouth shut. If she would have just stayed with her mouth shut for a few months, it would have all been over and she could have moved on. I'm not saying that that was the good thing for her to do or the right thing for her to do, but seeing as she's a narcissist and doesn't actually care what she did, she should have just shut up. I'm sick of hearing about it because she's not going to get consequences for it. She's not going to pay for it in any way. She's clearly not sorry for it. So like, I'm just sick of hearing about it because people are rightly upset, but nothing's going to happen. Nothing at all. Guaranteed. Because like out of all the people who have done horrible things, Shane Dawson comes to mind. He's never gone away, and he's continuing to have a relatively successful career as a content creator. The only one that ever went away and never came back was Jenna Marbles. And she didn't really need to, but she actually felt bad for what she did. And Colleen is no Jenna Marbles. Colleen is far worse, and she is far more narcissistic. So Colleen's not going to pay for anything. So it's just frustrating to hear all these videos all the time about all these things people are noticing. But it's like she's been doing it publicly. It's not like she was doing it in secret. It's not like she had like a secret Discord where all this stuff was happening. She was doing it publicly. And she's gotten away with it for this long. She's going to have a bit of heat, and then she's going to eventually just move on as if nothing happened. Yeah, and there was this guy Sean. They do videos talking about like the agreements that you sign when you like sign up for TikTok or whatever. And they got it brought to their attention that somebody else heard through the grapevine that what she's doing is she wrote this song to have her, not even apology, just have her moment of like, F you guys are all idiots, in a way to be able to, why can't I put my bed down? What? We used to be able to put our beds down up here. I guess not anymore. She made this video with the direct intent. Now, this is all alleged. It's not, whoops. It's not guaranteed. It's not, I'm not saying this is exactly what she's doing, but it's very, very suspicious that she made it a song, and she made it specifically 10 minutes long because, one, she wanted to make ad revenue, and two, by making it a song, she can copyright strike people to make more ad revenue. So she made it a song, so when people go and call her out and make fun of her for it, it will be easy for her to strike them and take their money and to potentially wreck their channel based on how often they quote her song and all that stuff. And because copyright on YouTube is so broken, you know, fair use is a thing, but the YouTube system is so broken that it's very easy to manipulate it and wreck people's channels. So there's a rumor that that is why she did it the way she did, in order to be able to ruin people's lives, because she, in her mind, is the victim of all this. And so, like, it's even more nefarious when you think about it that way. So, like, anytime I hear anything about her, I just start swiping now. It's just, I've never liked her. I was never a fan of Miranda Sings. I never understood it. My sister was obsessed with her for a while. She thought it was the funniest thing on the planet, and I always would say, like, this is the dumbest comedy. It's the simplest comedy. I've made very similar jokes, you know, jokes that clearly weren't appropriate and were hurtful. But, like, that was her whole shtick. Like, there was no other layer to her jokes. So I was never a fan of her to begin with. So I'm just fed up of hearing about her. So fed up. What kind of stir fry did you get, Merle? What did you get in it? Oh, I want to make a stir fry now. Oh, crap. More snow? Why am I stuck in hills? I just want to go back to my base. Like, I've been moving further and further away, too, in the first position. So I keep moving to the right. I need to start moving to the left, but the stupid mountain's in the way, and I don't want to fall into the soft snow again and get stuck where I did last time. Okay. Thank you. We're out. Oh, I want stir fried. I actually don't know what I want to eat. It's not dinner time yet. I had a really big breakfast. Normally for breakfast, I'll do like 2 pieces of toast with peanut butter and a coffee. Or I'll do a couple pieces of toast with like a fried egg on top of it with some avocado and coffee. So it's not a tiny breakfast, but it's never a huge breakfast. But this morning when I got up, Alana had made bacon and hash browns and like home fries basically, or like home potatoes. Jeez, my phone's going crazy. And pancakes this morning, and so there was some left over, and so I made myself some eggs because you can't really reheat eggs. But she left me some to have, and so I had a couple of pancakes, some bacon, fried eggs, some home potatoes. Oh, it was so good. It was such a good breakfast. So I'm not as hungry as I normally would be on at around this time. At around 3, I usually start getting hungry. I'm still pretty full. I'm still burping because I ate way too much, way too fast, but it was delicious. Oh man. So Chad, they did this new update. I don't know how much you follow Minecraft at all. I don't know if you've played it, because I know some people are really not into Minecraft and some people are super into it. They did their latest update where they included a bunch of new stuff you can do, and one of the things is now you can no longer just upgrade to netherite. If you already know this, just ignore me. I'm just explaining for people who don't know. Basically, your armor can go, weapons can go up different levels. You haven't played it in a while. Okay, so you know how you can go from like stone to diamond, or to iron to diamond, and then you go to netherite. Well, they made a huge update where you can't just go to netherite anymore. You need to have a template to do it, and you consume the template every time you do an upgrade. But when you have a template, you can duplicate the template. But they've also included an update that there's a different type of template that can do different designs on your armor. And so at first I set out to find the template for the upgrade. It took us 2 streams to get it because they're found in bastions, and it took me forever to get to it, and then I finally got to it, and then I died a bunch of times. So it was a battle of going back to get the bastion stuff. I finally did. And then I decided that I was going to go and search because I finally figured out how to find the ones for the designs for the armor, which are found through digging through sand and apparently in the bottom of sunken ships. And so that's what we were doing for the last 2 streams. And so I was heading back to my base because I didn't find the template. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to head back to my base. And in the process, I found a sunken ship and I just explored it to see if there was diamonds and stuff because I need them for duplicating the armor thing. And then I found the template, the design template. Apparently there's different types. Like if you're in different types of water biomes, there will be different ones hidden in the sand. And if you're in a pirate ship, there's a different kind. So I got the pirate ship one. And now I'm just heading back to my base. But the stupid thing that I did is I forgot that I used a nether portal to get to where I was, which was, you know, what was it, 25,000 blocks away? Was it 25 or 15,000? Something like that. But it was an obscene amount. And I just started heading back to 0, forgetting that I used the nether portal to get that far ahead. So I could have just went back to my nether portal and transported back here, but I don't remember what my nether portal location is. So I'm just heading back to 0. So we've been traveling for quite a while. Right now I'm just trying to head back to my base. And I'm probably only going to be live for like another half an hour or so. And I have to find some diamonds to be able to duplicate some of my armor stuff. I don't know. Apparently it's fairly rare, but if you know what you're doing, you can find it relatively easy in the big scheme. But once you duplicate it, it's a lot easier, right? Like I found the upgrade one. I only have one of them, and then the first thing I did was upgrade it, or duplicate it. So now I have 2. I think I duplicated it twice, so I think I have 3. I might only have 2. Maybe it's only 2. But each one costs 7 diamonds, so it's not a cheap duplication system. So they've made it so it's a little bit of work to actually get everything if you want it. And so they've done it enough that if you're a pro at Minecraft, it's going to be fairly easy. But if you're like me and really haven't gotten too far in the game, then you have to work quite a bit to get it. Like each stream has been about an hour and a half of me playing, and it's been about 4 streams worth that I've done. So we're talking about 7 hours worth of just this process. So it's added an extra feeling of adventure to the game, because like you can see it on the screen. This little brush that I have highlighted, this is what you use to dig in the sand. And so like you look for very specific sand. It's called suspicious sand. And you actually like brush it away to get the stuff inside. If you don't brush it, you just break the sand. But if you brush it, you get whatever is inside of it. And it could be a variety of stuff. Like it could be an emerald. It could literally be a string. Or you get a chance of it being armor. Or the armor design. So like it just added a little extra detail to just make the game slightly more fun. I actually think it's a really cool upgrade, but there's also a chance you can find a sniffer egg. Now I don't know what the sniffer does. It's just this giant monster of an animal, and the only way you can get the sniffer is through an egg, and the only way you can get the egg is through finding it through suspicious sand. So it's definitely added just a new element to the game. And there's been a bunch of new updates. Like there's cherry blossoms now, which give you pink blocks. They also have animations, so like cherry blossom flower petals fall down as you're in the cherry blossom field. There's a few things they've added, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's just a nice extra detail to just add something to do, right? Like they've added a bunch of details over the last couple of years, you know, adding the ancient city, which is something to explore. I still haven't explored an ancient city. You know, adding the warden as a new fight, like those things. But this was one of the first times that it felt like you're actually like treasure hunting. You're not just looking for a location and then exploring that location. You're looking for a location and then you have to actually like sift through the sand or the gravel to find the thing you're looking for. Or like for me, I didn't know that there was templates in sunken ships, so like I just went in and there it was. So like those things are really cool. No, I didn't participate. Or a hoe. You got chicken and beef. Nice. Nice. Oh, I love chicken. Although beef stir fry is so good. I haven't had a beef stir fry in a while. But yeah, it's just added this extra little, just an element to the game. Just something to make it feel refreshed, which is cool because it's not just something topical. You actually feel like you're doing something new. No worries, Chad. Damn, this trip is so long. While I'm doing this, I might as well stop moving. 41, 40, 39. Okay, there we go. My brother sent me another message. I'm going to mute again. I just want to listen to what my brother had to say. Okay. He was just telling me about band practice. Oh, too late. I already sent him the message. I'll tell him you said hi, though, when he responds. We gotta practice for my father's funeral. Oh, I'm anxious. I didn't realize we had such few days. I thought we had a couple of weeks. We only have 9 days until his funeral. And there's a lot of songs I gotta learn. Not learn, but like relearn. I'm rusty AF when it comes to playing music. It's okay though. It's for friends and family. It doesn't matter if I suck. Okay, I'll let him know, Ewan. I'll let him know. Don't worry. Yeah, Tyler. It's going to be in Hamilton. Because most of his friends lived in Toronto or Burlington. And most of the family lives in Hamilton. So it just made sense to do it there rather than out here. Just for closeness for everybody. So we're going to be doing it there. So it's not bad. He didn't want to, maybe he would have wanted to be, I think he wants to be buried out there. He got cremated. But yeah, all of his friends, everybody's here. The only family he had out there, were a couple of uncles that he had who are like in their 80s. But like his dad passed away. My grandfather passed away many years ago now. And my dad wasn't really raised by his parents. His parents didn't really ever worry about him. You know, my dad started taking care of himself by the time he was like 8. And, you know, he bounced around living with his sister and stuff. So like my dad was one of those kids that just kind of did whatever he wanted because his parents didn't care. They were more busy trying to like sleep around than anything. Sorry, Grandma, no disrespect. My grandma's still around. She's the one, my only grandparent left who is still like strong and kicking. She's like in her late 80s. She's really mad at us because we didn't let her see my dad before we got him cremated. But it was for her own good. It wasn't because we didn't want her to see him. We really wanted the family to see him, but there was no way. Anyways, but yeah, he has nobody back home really. Any friends that he had back there, they were from when he was in his 20s. My dad moved to Canada when he was 21. So like they were friends from like when he was a teenager, when he went to high school and stuff. So like not people that he really keeps in touch with. He's got a couple of cousins back there, but they're not really anything super close to him. All of the family that he was very close to is in Canada or they're in the States. And the American family, they said they're going to do their best to come here. There's one uncle who was really close to my dad who went back home. He's back home right now, you know, visiting family, and so he's not going to be able to make it. But a lot of the other uncles and cousins and stuff, they're all going to be coming from the States. And then all of his friends were here in Canada. A lot of them were people that he met through work. A few friends that they all immigrated to Canada at the same time, so it was like our little close circle. They're all going to be there. And then people that we met through the band that my dad was friends with, although his closest friends that we were friends with for the band, they've all passed away too. All in the last like 5 years. A bunch of the people that we had as connections from the band, they all died. So like none of those people are going to be there, which is really disheartening. Hey, we're roughly where we're supposed to be. Okay, now I have to find my base from here. Crap, I don't have enough vision to see far enough to see where my base is. Okay, I'm gonna take a bit of a hit graphically. I'm gonna turn up my chunk distance to see if I can see it, although it's nighttime, so it's gonna be really hard to see. Can I sleep before monsters show up? Yes. I don't. If you're talking to Merle, ignore me. But if you're talking to me, I don't think it's going to be a good performance because my brother-in-law hasn't practiced at all. I've practiced a bit, but not with both keyboards, and that's a big, big difference. Playing with one keyboard is very different than playing with two. And I haven't sang in years, so my voice is a mess. Okay. Mountains. So we're really close to where my entrance was, but I don't remember where I traveled to build my friggin' base. And I can't see. I might have to turn ray tracing off so I can see. Because I feel like in this world, I traveled a lot before ever building a base. I don't think I built the base right where I started. Crap. But yeah, if you're talking to me, Weewin, I haven't practiced nearly enough, and the songs that we play are fairly complex. I did a stream. I said I did a stream where I recorded some music, and it technically speaking, as a musician, it's not very complicated music. Where it gets complicated is the fact that I am emulating multiple instruments. I'm not just playing the piano. Not that playing the piano is easy. It's just I'm not only concentrating on one instrument. I'm mimicking, trumpets and saxophones and the piano at the same time. Plus I sing most of the songs. So like it's a lot to concentrate on. And when you're not practicing, it's very easy to not do it well. So I don't think it's going to go super well because I'm not practiced. The upside is I have pre-recorded a lot of the music because it's a lot of stuff that my dad used to sing and I'm not used to singing it. So it's my safety net because I know I'm not going to do a very good job with it anyway. But again, it's for friends and family. It's not really a party. We're going to do it in the theme of a party. Like we're going to play our music and then we're going to hope people are going to dance and we're going to have some food and stuff because my dad's whole passion was the band and people dancing. So like it only makes sense that we do that. And so that's what we're going to aim for. But like, it's still really nerve wracking to have to do it when we haven't done it in so long. And like our conga player's gone, like he passed away. So it's not I think it's this way because I remember there being a thing nearby my base. So maybe it's this way. Our conga player is gone. Yeah, I can see it right there. I built a thing for my platform for my iron farm. That's it right there. So he's already missing. The guy that we have that does percussion secondary to my brother, he's going to take over the congas, but we don't have congas right now. So we have to rent congas. And my brother hasn't played in a while either. And he's the percussionist. So like it's a lot of stuff that's going to be very rusty. Thankfully, we performed for almost 15 years. And it's a lot of the songs that we've been performing since pretty much the first 5 years. We've always played these songs. So they're songs that are pretty deeply ingrained in us. So hopefully it'll sound okay. I am planning to like record the rehearsal. I'm planning to, maybe I'll even stream the rehearsal. I don't know. I'm planning to, I did, Chad, I did. I'm planning to also hopefully record. I'm not going to stream it. I'm going to record the band's performance at my dad's funeral. One, because I want it as a memory because the band is done. The band is now done. The band was always kind of, we no longer play, but we've never really stopped. Like there's always the chance we'll perform. Even a few weeks before my dad died, his cousin in El Salvador had called him. He works for the city there, and they're rebuilding City Hall. And they requested for us to come back and perform because we did a performance there, and that was our biggest performance ever. They renamed City Hall to name it after my grandfather, because my grandfather was one of the most respected musicians in their town. It's a very small town, like one of those like where you would see Sarah McLachlan, like these children, well, she did it for animals, but like those people that walk up, these children for only $1 a day, you could provide them with a bag of rice. Like it was one of those types of towns. And so they renamed City Hall after my grandfather, and they asked us to come and perform. And they closed down 3 city blocks. They built our stage on one of the blocks, and there was about 5,000 people in the audience. It was really, really cool. So they asked us to come back, and my dad had been in talks with my uncle about taking us back to do that. He was going to try to convince my brother-in-law, because my brother-in-law doesn't want to play anymore. But now that my dad's gone, there's nobody that wants to do the band except for me. And then my brother's on the fence. He sometimes wants to, sometimes he doesn't. He likes the performance aspect. He doesn't like the responsibility involved. And so he's not like fully on board of having the band. My sister has no interest in the band. And the secondary percussionist, he's got some shoulder problems, so he can't do it anymore either. So it's like my brother and me. We can't really have a band with two guys. So this is like our final goodbye to the band as well. So I want to record it because it's going to be the last time we all perform together. And my dad's not even going to be there. So it's like a final goodbye. So I'm going to record that, but like, it's not going to be a great performance. I can tell you that right now. Luis, hello. Nice to see you. I'm doing really well. Thank you, Luis. Thank you. So Chad, back to the bass thing. Yes, I built this bass a long time ago. This used to be my private file. This was what I would do to unwind. And I built this bass a long time ago. The reason it's all messy like this is I did this villager trading post with all these villagers. And then down there, all these villagers. And what was happening is at night, they would start spawning golems. And my town, and even in here, was getting full of golems. And when I was in the process of trying to like zombify them and then cure them so they could have cheaper trades, the golems would kill the zombies and would kill my villagers. So I built all this to stop them from spawning. And then they just kept spawning in random spots. So I decided I would build it this way so then they could spawn here and then they would go down there and die. They haven't spawned in a bit, but I was collecting iron that way. And then when my dad passed away, I decided to start rebuilding a base in a totally different area. More than anything, just to be able to have something to do on stream. And so it didn't feel like everybody's coming in as I've already got everything built. It would allow us to restart. So I built a second base, which isn't complete yet. And that's where we're heading now, which is funny because we're going to head right back to where we just were, but through the nether. But yeah, that was my original base, and then I'm working on rebuilding another base elsewhere for the stream. Now, as far as what's my favorite song to sing or play, we play Latin music, so there's a really good chance you would have never heard the song. And I have a few songs that I really enjoy. It's hard for me to decide even now. We've decided we're going to play about 12 to 15 songs. The funeral is going to be about 4 hours. It's going to be a celebration of life. It's not really a funeral. I'm just calling it a funeral because it's easier to say than celebration of life every time. But basically it's going to be, we're going to have my dad's ashes there. We're going to have pictures of him and stuff. And then, whoops. Crap. I didn't mean to do that. That's what happens when you try to lay down in the nether, by the way, folks. I just destroyed a big chunk of my highway. That really sucks. Oh well, I can fix that fairly easily. Get out of here, don't melt my ice. This is what I meant to put down and get in. Damn it. Anyways, so we're gonna have food, and there's gonna be pictures of my dad. We're gonna have his ashes there, with some flowers and stuff, and people can come and kind of give their final goodbye to my dad. My dad wanted an open casket. Since it didn't happen, we're doing this, which is the next best thing. And because my dad was super passionate about the band, we decided we're going to perform as like a final goodbye. Like we're even planning to see if we can like put his ashes up on stage with us. So it's like he's on stage with us for the last time, you know, as like a final farewell. Because the band was his passion project. It was all his. I was the talent engine. Like I was the one that pushed everything forward. I advanced the band by like adding new things. I'm not saying that I was the most talented in the band. It's just I was the one that was kind of behind adding new elements to the band to make it more complex. And so like I recorded our first CD. I did it all myself in my bedroom. I learned how to play the trumpet so I could add a new element to the band. I started to figure out how to add more elements to like the pre-recorded stuff that we would do. I would pick what songs we were going to do. We would break it. Like they would suggest songs too, but it was like I was the big driving force behind the talent part of it. My dad was like the business and passion side of it. So the band was his passion project. It only started because he started opening his mouth and telling his friends he had a band. But so we're like trying to decide what songs to play. We've got about 15. We're definitely going to play all of my dad's songs that he sang, and we're going to sing them for him. But it's hard for me to like really nail down like one song in particular that I absolutely love. There's one song that I love, but I think it's more because my dad loved it so much and it always hyped us up because he was so proud of the song. And it's just, it's a song, it's another family band actually, that sings about just like a guy asking a girl to dance and just like how beautiful she is and how great she dances. And like, that's all it's about. It's just a guy saying about how hot this girl is and how he wants to dance with her. But we all sing it and we all have like really nice harmonies for it. And musically, it's somewhat complicated. So it's one of my favorite songs to sing. There's a song my dad used to sing that we're going to be covering that I really love that we're going to have to sing. And that's going to be really hard for me to do. And then there's a mix that we used to do, which we're not going to perform because my sister hated it. But it was a mix from Selena, the singer, the Tex-Mex singer from the 90s. It's a mix of her music that we perform. And I think it was originally her mix, like they did it with their band, and then we just covered it. That was one of my favorites to do, but my sister doesn't like it. She doesn't like singing it. Oh, and there's another one that's of music from my country, from one particular band. And the only reason I started doing it is because when I first started to perform, people compared me to the owner of that band because he was a child star. And as a kid, the big thing was they put him in a band and he was like 6 years old and he would play the drums as a 6-year-old playing with this professional band. And he was a savant with music. But as he got older, he didn't have interest in drums and he learned to play the piano. And so his big thing was he always had 2 pianos on him and it was like an L shape. So he had one keyboard on the left, one keyboard in front, and then he would sing. And so that was his big claim to fame. And then he became very famous back home, one of the most respected musicians back home. And so people would compare me to him because I had 2 pianos and I would sing. And I also had them in that like L pattern, and I would sing. Difference being is he's a real pianist and I'm not. And so we would play some of his music and eventually I made a whole mix of just his songs. And I loved his music. So that mix I really like too. I'll play a little bit. We did a lot of covers. That was our big thing. We did a lot of covers. Wrong keyboard. But I'll show you roughly what it sounds like because it's Latin music. But a lot of people think of Latin music and they either think mariachi or they think like salsa, and it's neither. It's something called cumbia, which is very similar to polka in like the breakdown of how the music works. The patterns that are followed in our music are very similar to polka patterns, and it actually evolved from orchestra music and polka music being mixed. And so where polka is very reliant on our accordions, which a lot of Colombian music is reliant on accordions, we introduced a lot of trumpets and saxophones, which gave it a totally different feel. So it's got like a salsa feel to it, but it's more polka rhythm. Now I know I'm making it sound really, really dorky. Now this song is very old, but you can hear the music style once you hear the song. This is my all-time favorite song to sing. I don't really like performing it, but I love singing it. So, of course it's not playing because I muted it. Duh. Okay. Now this one is singing about how like there's a guy who's like a vagabond, and how like people judge him and they make fun of him, and you know, I want to say like he's singing to a woman and about how like he loves her, but like everybody looks down on him because they say he's just a vagabond and a bum, but he's an adventurer. He just wants to live life free. Like he's basically a hippie. And that's what the whole song is about. Just about like he lives his life the way he wants and he doesn't care what people think, and he loves her, and that's too bad for everybody else if he's not good enough. But I do like the rhythm. So this is the song here. So like you can feel it's got like the polka feel, like dum 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 dum, like very polka-esque, but then you add the trumpets and it's got way more of the Latin feel, right? And obviously with Latin feel you get the that alone gives it that like that Latin rhythm. And just like I love the trumpet sound. It's just So this is the music. So the whole thing, this Minecraft music is so entertaining. The big thing, there's a whole bunch of drama with this band. So this guy, I've met this guy a few times. He was actually best friends with my aunt. They went to school together and everything. They were friends their whole childhood. And the aunt through marriage, so there wasn't any relation to us in any way. But my dad met him later on when my dad was touring out there. He was able to meet him and hang out with him and everything, and they got to know each other. And the thing with him was he was very, very renowned as a musician, very well respected as a musician, but he had kind of an ugly voice. So they hired this guy called Freddie Zalata, I think was his last name. It was Freddie was his first name. I don't remember his last name. Freddie something. And he was the singer, and he started to outshine the owner is called Mario, and he started to outshine Mario. Mario was the talent. Mario was the songwriter. Mario was the guy who orchestrated the music and did everything. But Freddie started to outshine him because Freddie was a bit younger. Freddie was more attractive. Freddie had a nice voice, and Mario didn't have the nicest voice. And so he started to outshine him. And then apparently Freddie had an affair with Mario's sister, who was also in the band. She would sing the songs that were led by a woman. And Mario didn't like that. So the rumor says that Mario paid some gangsters to kill Freddie. And in the middle of the night, Freddie was on a motorcycle and they came up, and I don't remember if they shot him or they shot at him. But the point is he got in an accident and he passed away. And then Mario took over all of Freddie's songs and redid all the songs recorded with his own voice, which is nowhere near as nice as Freddie's voice. So there was a bunch of drama with that, but it was all rumor. It was all hearsay. Nothing ever came of it. Mario is one of the richest people in our country, so like he can get away with whatever he wants. That being said, he's still a titan when it comes to music. He's tried to kind of update his look and do more modern music, and it just hasn't worked. So he's leaned back on his classic stuff again, because it looked really pathetic. Like when reggaeton was really, really big, it's still really famous, but when it was like brand new and fresh, he started to redo songs in reggaeton, and it looked really pathetic when this guy in his like 50s with long ponytailed hair is wearing like skinny jeans and like trying to wear hipster glasses with a bunch of like young guys rapping, and he's like this out of shape 50-year-old. It didn't work. So he quickly went back into his classic stuff, but his classic stuff is great. So I sing that, and the benefit for me is I have a very similar voice to Freddie, because Freddie has a very soft, younger sounding voice, and I do too. And so that's kind of where it all started for us, is I would sing that kind of stuff. How did I get so good at public speaking? I went to school for theater. I went to theater school. I got a lot of professional training. I was always kind of, because of my ADHD, I was always a bit of a class clown. So I was always good at like talking and like blurting things out, but I was never good at just speaking cleanly. I always struggled with that. Then I got into acting and stuff. I did singing since I was a kid. I sang ever since I was 8 years old, professionally, like out in choirs and stuff. And then I stopped that in high school, but then at the end of high school, I got into theater, and then I jumped into theater school. And so that trained me to become very, very comfortable in front of people. I only get nervous if I'm soloing completely alone. If I'm soloing as part of a show, not a big deal. But if I'm like karaoke night, if I'm going to go up on stage and I'm just going to sing by myself, I get really nervous. Or like I did a cabaret night once where like they play music for musicals and then you come in and you sing. Kind of like karaoke, but you're specifically there as the talent. You're not there as just a regular person who walked in off the street. They hire you to come in and do that. I get really anxious in those moments. But outside of that, I don't mind. I can be half naked on stage. I can sing on stage. I can not sing on stage. I don't really get embarrassed very easily. I can be on camera and talk forever and it doesn't bother me. I got used to it, but it was a lot of practice, a lot of practice. And talking to a camera is very weird. Bringing it back to you being a streamer, talking in front of a camera is really weird, but you get used to it. Like now I'm looking at my camera, but I don't see a camera. I'm actually looking specifically at the reflection of my light that's over there. I can see it in the lens. That's what I stare at when I talk. And I just don't think about it. So I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. At first I felt really weird because I'm talking to a piece of plastic and glass. Now I just make sure I'm looking at that reflection so I can make sure I'm looking at the lens. But outside of that, I don't really think about it anymore. It just happens. It's pretty nice. It's pretty easy. Yeah, Tyler, the Minecraft music is so good. It's so great. But yeah, like when I sing this music, I'll even show you real quick. I'll get back to Minecraft in just a second. Let's see. Let me see if I can find the one that he sings, because he sings it afterwards. He redid it. I don't think they have. Is this the one that has his own voice? No. He did keep that one. He kept that one because that one, I don't think he could have sang that one. I don't think he could have redone this song, but this one he did. So this was like their big breakout song. The one I'm going to show you was a ballad. And Freddie sang the original one. And so this was one of the first songs I ever learned. Ever. Their company hits people with copyright claims, but whatever, I'll do it anyway. I don't care. I'll do it anyway. Window capture. Let's capture here. Okay, so you could tell this is old. It's real old. I'll put it up on TikTok in just a second. Give me just a second here. I just gotta resize the windows so it's not blocking me the whole time. Sorry, I'm kind of going off on a tangent now because obviously music is kind of a big part of my life, and especially my music, like the music that we did with my band and that I grew up with. So that's another thing. A lot of my friends grew up listening to music, and I still get made fun of for it now, where my friends will like name bands that they grew up listening to, and they'll make fun of me going like, you never heard this song? And I'm like, man, I'm Latino. I grew up with Latino music. Play me something from this guy, Marito Rivera, and I'll totally know what you're talking about. But like, ask me about Led Zeppelin. I have no clue. I can't name a single Led Zeppelin song. Even if I tried, I couldn't do it. But like this is old. This is from the 80s. But this is the song that really blew them up. And it's a ballad, and it's about a guy finding out that a woman has been lying to him the whole time, and that no matter what, he is so heartbroken, but he promises her he's going to pick himself up, and she won't see him be devastated by her leaving him. And it's pretty close to home right now. But I learned it because at the time it's when I found out that my biological daughter's mom had been cheating on me with my cousin. And so like this was like a song that was really important to me at the time. And it became really important to the band because I've told the story before. I won't go into too much detail, but we did a gig where they had hired a mariachi band for like this big festival. The mariachi band was a total lie. They were supposed to have like 15 band members, and they showed up with 3, and the singer was completely drunk and he sang the wrong songs, and it was just a big mess. So they asked us to perform again, and we only knew like 3 or 4 songs, and I performed this song 4 times in a row because we didn't have any other songs, and they just wanted us to make sure that the band was happy and the audience was happy, and the audience knew what had happened. So they cheered us on as we sang the song over and over again. Like they kept asking us to just play it again, and so we just did. So it was a really important song to the band as well. But I'll play you the original with Freddie, and then I'll play you the one that Mario stepped in and sang it, and you're going to hear the big vocal difference and how much worse Mario is as a singer. I need that. Oh, yeah, Stairway to Heaven. There we go. There's one. So that's Mario there on the piano. And this is Freddie. Right? And now listen to Mario sing it. Mario had to re-record it because he couldn't have Freddie continue to outshine him. His voice is nowhere near as nice. Right? It's not... He wasn't as good of a singer, but he needed to try to erase Freddie's legacy as much as he could. The problem is that he did the opposite. He kind of did the Streisand effect. People then loved the Freddie version of everything. Mario ended up, like, this was very early on in the band's life, so Mario ended up making a bunch of other songs and a bunch of other stuff, and so, like, Freddie's legacy was eventually left behind. But everybody's favorite version of this song is the Freddie version, not Mario's version. Nobody likes his. I'm positive I've heard the first song with Mario singing it, not Freddie, but I can't find it. But yeah, people always compared me to Mario because I did the double keyboard thing, but I sang like Freddie, so people really liked it. Let me see if I can, there it is. Let me see if I can find... Does it exist? I don't know if it exists. Maybe it does. Yeah, I think it does. Oof. That is a horrible version. How come nobody ever does it right? Okay. Let me
I found this on the web.
Give me a second, Trylan. I'll answer you in just a second. I hope this is right. I hope this is the karaoke version. We'll find out. If not, you'll still hear my voice over it anyway. But this is how I sing it. Ay, yo no sé cómo pudiste dejarme si tú estabas ay, pero tan enamorada. Obviously, his voice is still there, but whatever. Ay, yo no sé porque me chocan los nervios. Si tú me decías que tu amor era infinito. Mentiras. Eres una mentirosa. Gran amor tú me fingías, sin pensar que cambiarías. Mentiras. Eres una mentirosa. Pero te juro, vida mía, que yo de esta me levanto. But yeah, that's the ay amor, no mientas más. But that's why they compared me to the band, right? Because I did the double keyboard thing, but then I sang. But I sang nicer than Mario did. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so this one and the one before are some of my favorite songs. The faster one that I showed you before, that one's my all-time favorite song to perform. Just because it's fun. And like I just like the beginning with the flute and how it like has the I don't know, it's got like these weird pauses that I really enjoy. Like this guy in general is one of my favorite musicians, like the band. This was a song that he covered. He did a remake of it. It was originally a ballad. It was originally what they called a trio song. So it was like three guys and a guitar singing it. And then he made a dance version. I'm not going to make you listen to the whole song, but there's a part in it that I love because it gave me a chance to show off my piano skills. I can't do it anymore, but it had like a great piano solo in the middle of it. And the beginning is done with a guitar because the original was guitar, but he does it on the keyboard. And that also allowed me a chance to kind of show off my fingering at the beginning. You'll hear the very beginning and then I'll find the solo and I'll show you the solo, why I loved it so much. But like, this is the beginning. So like, I love how the piano is doing the guitar here. It's nothing super complex, but it's enough like bouncing around that it's a bit of a challenge. But then you get to the solo. Que es el que siente amor, tan solo mando yo. El mar y el cielo se ven igual de azules. y en la distancia parece que se unen. Mejor es que recuerdes que el cielo es siempre cielo, que nunca, nunca, nunca el mar lo alcanzará. Permíteme igualarme con el cielo, y a ti te corresponde ser el mar. He's basically singing about how he's with somebody and legally he has to stay with them, but that she, even though they look the same because they're both blue, he's like the sky and she's the ocean. They have to be separate and they will never touch. Even though in the horizon they look like they meet, they never will. And so he's saying, let me be part of the sky and you can stay with the ocean, because eventually I'll be free and you're staying. So it's basically his whole thing of like, you've controlled my life and I have no choice but to be with you, but I'm out of here. But listen to the piano solo. This is my favorite thing. I used to be able to play this. I can't anymore, but I used to. I loved it. But yeah, that was my favorite song to show off. But the first song that I showed you was my favorite one to sing and to perform. I played the bass in the first one, actually. And that was my favorite of all time. But this one's really fun to show off just because of that. My brother was the drummer. My brother was the drummer. I was the keyboardist. My sister sang and played something called the güiro. She didn't do that all the time. She started off originally playing the congas. But then she moved on to the güiro and started singing. And then my dad did the bass originally. And then when another band came and they were touring here in Canada, the guy who came here was a typical millionaire scumbag. Still one of my favorite musicians, but he's a scumbag. He had been kicked out of Canada for a while. He had been banned for a set amount of time because he used to come and tour here and he would take money, bring people as like stagehands and stuff, and then leave them here. So they would pay him to like smuggle them to Canada, and then they would just stay. And so he got banned from Canada, and then he came again for his like welcome back tour. And so he came legitimately, but while he was here, he was paying his musicians like garbage. Like he was paying them something like $20 a week to perform, and they were performing 4 times a week, and they were here for like 3 or 4 months. And so one of the bandmates found out how much he was getting paid per gig, and he was getting paid like $7,000 a show, and he was doing 4 shows a night or 4 shows a week, and he was paying them $20 a gig. So like, or $20 a week. So like he was paying them nothing. Their accommodations were paid for, but like they didn't even pay for their food most of the time. So like they were living off Mr. Noodle and stuff. And so the piano player quit, and they were working with the DJ who was helping them go to the different locations, and the DJ knew me. And when their piano player quit, they hired me. And so I went in and I stepped in as the musician, and Walter was the bass player, and he would sit next to me and kind of tell me what song was coming up next and what to do and what like weird pauses they would take, because they had a whole show. It wasn't just play the songs. It was like they would mix certain songs in certain ways, or like they did a thing where a song would stop halfway through and then they would play live, because they had a bunch of stuff pre-recorded. They would play live, while the girl would go and flirt with a bunch of guys and do a bunch of like suggestive things with the guys. And then it was up to me to start the next song at the right time. So Walter was helping me with all that. Because we toured, my sister got to know Walter, and then they fell in love and they got married. So when Walter joined the band, we shifted things around. And so my sister continued playing the güiro a little bit. I jumped onto playing the trumpet because Walter played keyboard. But the songs that he wouldn't play keyboard, I would be back on keyboard and he would play the bass. And so like we were able to kind of move things around. And our secondary percussionist would jump on the drums and my brother would play the saxophone once in a while. So we did quite a few different instruments. We played different stuff all the time. We were very, very varied. Very, very varied. I have a lot of videos, but most of them are now private because I didn't like how they turned out. A lot of them were not very good quality. Some of them were not great songs. A lot of them were from us rehearsing, so they weren't, the cleanest songs. So I have a lot of them privatized. I'm not logged into that account that has it, but like this was, the quality's going to be really bad. This is when we did the festival in El Salvador when there was like 5,000 people in the audience. My brother and I were far younger. Now in this one, I'm playing the keyboard, so you can't really see me, but my brother's out front singing. Where's the window capture? And you'll see it here in just a second. Trilena, what was it that you asked? Was that my Miguel showing? It was Miguel. That was Miguel singing to you. Do you hear Latin music from these days? Some of the Argentina singers brought out really fun songs. I haven't listened to anything too modern, Trilena. I haven't listened to much stuff that's been out recently. But yeah, this is my brother's up front singing in this one. Somebody else took over the drums for this show, for this song in particular. But my brother's out front. You can see the mouse. This is my brother. That's my sister. And these were two women that we hired to dance. They just kind of freestyled it. I regret having hired them. And that's me right there playing the keyboard. My dad is somewhere over here, I want to say. He's somewhere over there. But yeah, this is us back then. Oh no, my dad's singing. My dad's over here in the dark. So I'm on the keyboard here. The accordion sound is me. We hired a second piano player, so I'm in the white playing the accordion part, and the second piano player is over here. Because it was such a big gig, we decided to hire another piano player so I could concentrate more on the fill-ins, and I could be out front singing more. And this is me yodeling. This song, we're not going to play it for my dad's funeral. It was my dad's song, but it's called The Diary of a Drunk Man, of a Drunk. It's about a man talking about how he's an alcoholic and his life is so horrible and he just wants to drown in alcohol and die. It's a self-harm song. It's not a very good song when you think about what it writes about, but it's very popular. And so the yodeling that I'm doing is him crying in his last moments of life. So we're not going to play it for my dad. But that was my dad singing. I forgot that that's what the song was. I was thinking it was something else. This is me in the front singing. The audio is not great because like the speakers were like 10 feet up in the air. Like they were huge. So what I'm playing there is the Guido. So can't hear it in the recording, but it's going. So it's what adds the rhythm to the music. And look, I had hair. Look at my hair. Look at my hair there. That was my hair. Similar to what I have now. You can see my brother playing the saxophone back here when the light's shining him. So there's two saxophone players and a trumpet player. That trumpet player passed away last year from the same thing my dad passed away from, actually. Him and my brother became such good friends. My brother cried so hard when he passed away because he was such a nice guy. So that was one of the fun songs. We didn't perform that one too often when we were on our own. This I want to say this one's okay. This one's one my sister sang, and me on the bass here. I'm lost here. I had a concussion. If you can see my mouse, right? Yeah. Back here, you can see this roof. There were stairs coming up and I hit my head right as we were going to go on. And this was our opening number. And I ended up with a huge lump on the back of my head and a bruise. And I was so confused on stage. Plus, Celsius-wise, it was 40 degrees outside that day. And I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt and jeans. I was drenched in sweat that night. So a quick breakdown. Obviously, that's me. It's my sister. You can tell I'm barely dancing. I'm concentrating so hard to try to get the song. So this is my sister. My brother playing the timbales here, the drums. This is Herman. He's the guy that has the shoulder injury now. So we hired him originally to be a timbale player, and then he jumped onto the Guido. Because it's one thing that he can handle kind of easily. My dad. I'm thinking if we still have this instrument, I'm going to put it up on stage with us when his ash is up there. This is Eduardo. We called him the professor. He was a teacher, and his son was a Broadway star. his son was one of the first celebrities to die from COVID, actually. He passed away a couple of years before COVID hit, and then that's my brother-in-law. So, like, we did a bunch of stuff. Here's my brother singing when he's playing the drums. This audio is really bad. Now, this was years ago. This 13 years ago. 13 years ago. The guy's son was 40. You can look him up. He was all over the news and everything because he was an up-and-coming Broadway star. His name was Nick Cordero. He was all over the news. His wife, Amanda Klutz, was being interviewed left, right, and center about it. He was great friends with... he actually lived in Zach Braff, or whatever his name is, in his guest house. He lived with him, the guy from Scrubs, because they had done a show together and they were working on a movie together, and they were best friends. And so his dad was in my band. The funny thing we always laughed at was that his son was famous. We had no idea his son was famous. He always used to tell me, oh yeah, my son does acting too. He moved to the United States to pursue his acting. But he'd be like, he does shows in little places. Like he's in Tennessee right now. And he would just say stuff like that. But he would come to all of my live theater stuff. And so he supported me for everything. He was such a great guy. And then one day, his son comes down to see us. Like he comes down to Canada or up to Canada, and we're doing a performance or whatever. He comes to the gig and I meet his son and we're talking. And then his son's like, yeah, I mean, so like, your dad says that you do some acting and like, I hear it's challenging. He goes, yeah. And then he goes and tells me he's doing a show written by Woody Allen, working with some guys that did a bunch of like Godfather movies and stuff. And I'm going, wait, like, where are you performing? He's like, oh, I'm on Broadway. I was like, you're not just like a little star, like you're a professional actor, like a big time actor. Then a few months later, I go and I watch him and he's winning. He's being nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the musical. But his dad always went on how proud he was about our band. That was his thing. He's like, oh yeah, I'm Eduardo. I'm from Grupo Insulina. Like he never talked about his son. He talked about his band. We always laughed about like his son's far more famous than we've ever been. And you're prouder of us than you are of him. He loved his son. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, we did a lot of stuff. We performed a lot. A lot of the audio quality is just not great. A lot of the audio quality is really, really bad. This one has a bit better audio, like this gig in particular. Again, my brother singing. Ah, somebody did something. Gaming Dude, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so like we did a lot of stuff. I don't think I have the other one, do I? There was one where I played the trumpet, but I don't think I have it. I think I took it down. Did I take it down? I think I took it down because I made a lot of mistakes. So I think I took it down. I think I took it down. Oh no, it's here. This is me playing the trumpet. Again, 40 degrees outside. I smashed my head on the stupid ceiling of the thing behind us. And the thing is, I'm not a trained trumpet player. So I was sweating. And I have, if you don't know, an embouchure is the way that you form your lips with the actual trumpet to make the sound. If you don't know how trumpets are played, you're literally going into the trumpet the whole time, and that's how you get the sound out of it. My embouchure is crooked, and it's fairly weak because I'm not a trained professional. But I was sweating up a storm, and when you're sweating, the embouchure, you do want a bit of a wet embouchure, but if it's too sweaty, your air can start leaking everywhere, and the trumpet can like fall out of place, and so that's what was happening here. So don't judge my trumpet playing too much here. But this is me on the trumpet. This is the last thing I'll show you. Oh, and my brother's on saxophone. I forgot he was on saxophone on this. Look at me dance. Look at me dance. My mom was so zoomed out for this. Now, this song is hard for me to do. It's a mix of two songs. Hard for me to do because the second one, I sing it. And playing and then jumping into the microphone, I've had times where like my mouth was covered in blood because I would bring the trumpet up too quick and smash my lips, or I'd get to the microphone too quick and smash my lips. There were times where like full blood in my mouth as I'm trying to sing. It was horrible. There we go. That's closer. Look at me shake my butt. Yeah, it was rough, Chad. It was rough. And there's my dad playing the bass behind my sister. Our harmonies are pretty friggin' good, I would say. Man, we used to be good. Look at my bald spot. That's the last time I had hair. I shaved my head shortly after that. Thanks, Chad. I appreciate that. And Profe, the Congo player, if you watch, he keeps singing to the microphone because he was obsessed with wanting to sing. He was obsessed with wanting to sing. He loved it. He was so passionate. So this is why we're going to perform, because like this was huge for my dad. He was like, look how he's turned watching us, because he was more interested in watching us perform than he was in performing most of the time. Because he was just so proud. But my dad was so passionate about music. That was the big thing for him. And then this is where we mix into the next song. That trumpet got stolen eventually. It made me so sad. Now, this solo was one of the hardest things I played, and I suck at it this night because I'm so sweaty. You see me like rubbing my face over and over again. I'm like, can I hit these notes? It's a basic note mix-up, but it's so high. So that was the mix to the next song. And then this is where I have to like drop the trumpet and start singing immediately, because it's literally stop the trumpet and the voice starts. And if you don't know anything about trumpet, you need a lot of support to hit those notes. And so like I'm out of oxygen, so I'm literally out of oxygen right into Carmen. Like it's so hard to hit that. Sorry for the shaky camera. My mom is not a professional camerographer person. I'm running around telling everybody, they told us this is the last song. No more songs after this. We gotta finish. We gotta finish. I was furious because we were promised 8 songs and they only said I'll play like 4 or 5. Yeah, this was 10 years ago, 2013. It was the show. Do you hear the audience? The audience like, no! Because I just announced this is it. We're done after this, guys. We were the headline band for this gig. We were the ones that they were announcing all over the posters and stuff, because we were the ones that they wanted to come see. So we were furious when they cut us off, because we're like, we're the reason people are here, and you're cutting us off before it's over. But they took forever to do everything. No, I'm on the trumpet. That's me on the trumpet. That was... So, like, I wasn't a great trumpet player, but I could play it. You know, I could play it decently. The one terrible sounds? Yeah, that's totally me. That was totally me. At the beginning, I totally bombed it. But yeah, this is... Me on the keys is this one. I'll go jump further in the song, because I screw up the beginning pretty bad. So notice how my arms are crossed right now, because I have saxophone on the left at this part, and then trumpet on the right. So I'm doing piano, trumpet, and saxophone for this song. Did you see me clapping at the end there? I'm not clapping as a thank you. I wasn't clapping to like be like, good job, guys. I was clapping because our routine, and again, because I was the one in charge, our routine was literally finish one song and immediately start the next. So it was like dun 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 1 2 1 2 3 4, and the next song would jump right in. So it was like no break for anybody. For us, it was exhausting, but for everybody else, it allowed the rhythm to keep going so they could keep dancing. Because if you stopped for too long, it killed the rhythm, and then nobody danced. And our whole point was for people to dance. But yeah, that was my band. That's what we used to do. That was when we were like really into it. That's when we were like actively doing our band stuff on a regular basis. Obviously now, Jesus, that's loud. What's the volume out for you guys? It's a little bit loud. But yeah, it's how we did, you know? Something like a jump. It's called a Weedle. So there's an American version. They use it a lot in older music. You probably know the song. You know the Under the Boardwalk, where something under the boardwalk. You know that song? That song has that sound. It's like that thing. That's what it is. The original was a wood one, but for our music, we used to use wood ones, but they weren't loud enough. Once you started electrifying everything and having like proper trumpets and saxophones, it gets drowned out. So what they did was we had a custom made one. They take a big piece of aluminum, and then they take one of those setters that you use before you start drilling, you know, you hammer it in to get the little divot so you can put your screw in. They use that, and they just put divots all over the aluminum, and then they close it off and put a handle on it, so then you can play it and you hit it with a brush, and then instead of it going, you get the, so then you get, so it adds, it's almost like a hi-hat sound, but it's a bit smoother, so it just, that's what keeps our rhythm at all times. Normally, how I turn around and clap for the 1 2, it's usually that guy that does it, but because I was in charge of the band, I did it. But normally they'd be like, so they would know exactly what to do without him having to count out. You would just hear it. But yeah, that's the Weedle. That's like one of the key implements that makes the Latin music is the Weedle, the cowbell, the congas, and we use timbales, or they're a type of drum. They sound like toms, but they're a much higher sounding tom. And that's pretty much the what makes our music so unique, because not many other styles of music use those specific instruments together. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what song that is. Let me see. I told you I don't know music, see? Let me just... I just want to see it real quick, see if I hear it. I should be able to hear it relatively quickly.
Yes. I'm an entertainment.
Just trying to see if I can find where he's playing it and breaks it. I don't see him playing anything. Yeah, no, I don't see him playing anything, but it's relatively common. It was used a lot in like the 50s. 50s and 60s, it was really common in music. They used it a lot in like ballads and stuff. Is my audio back or is it? Okay, it's back. I'm only gonna play for a little bit longer. It's been quite a while already. But yeah, it's a very common instrument, but it's usually made of wood. Like I said, it was used a lot in like the lighter rock, like, you know, Elvis style of rock, like that rock that existed then. It was used much more commonly there. But Latin music uses more of the metallic sound, and so it's one of the rhythm keepers. It's one of our metronomes, and depending on how you play it, it also adds a different feel to the song. So like when I was singing the one song, I was just doing a one hit on the rhythm, so I was just going so just to keep the speed. But it was because the song is so accelerated that if I played it at the speed that if I played it at the rhythm we normally played, it would be way too fast because our regular rhythm is. So that like just adds. It's almost like what the maracas do. Very similar to how maracas are played is how this is played. Oh, a vibroslap. Okay. Yeah. So this is a guiro, and so it's not used very often. Even now, we went to Long and McQuaid, which is like an instrument store in Canada. I don't know if it exists in the States. It's like Music City in the States, to see if they had one, because we don't have a brush for ours, and they don't even have it at all. They used to have like small like ones that were more, they had more like ribs on them, whereas ours are divots. And the rib one is great, but it wears down real quick. The divot one doesn't wear down. But they didn't even have that. Like, they have nothing. It's a very, very uncommon instrument to be used because it's used mostly in Latin music, right? So it's not really a popular instrument for people to try to get. So I've only got 3 diamonds, man. I wonder if I have more diamonds in my old base. Let me check. So let's take these 3 diamonds that I have and we'll go to the old base and see if I have more. I'll also take this upgrade thing. And yeah. But yeah, it's oh my god, my chat, sorry Twitch, my chat was scrolled up and it just stayed. It didn't go down. I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't know how I got here, but I'm here. You're preferring your backpack dancing? Yes. Yeah, cumbia is, I think it's a really fun style of music. And each country has their own style of cumbia. And each one has their own feel. I love Colombian cumbia. It's one of my favorites, but I like cumbia from El Salvador. I'm not a big fan of Mexican cumbia, because that's got more of like the polka style to it. I'm not a big fan of that cumbia. I don't mind it, but I'm not a huge fan. Peru has cumbia. I don't like Peruvian cumbia because they rely more on like the Peruvian pan flute style of rhythm built into it. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. But it's fun to dance. I really like it. Plus our music, especially in my country, a big proponent of our music is the comedy aspect to it. A lot of our songs have some kind of comedy built into it. It's like there's one song about a barber, a hairstylist, who wins the lottery, and with the lottery they decide they're going to open a new salon, and that's their whole plan. So they open a salon and they put a big sign in the front. Now this is where the joke comes in. They put a sign up front, and they made the salon, but they made it 2 floors. So there's the top floor and there's the downstairs floor, and he puts a big sign on the balcony outside of the store, and it tells you what they do at the store, and it says it's a brand new salon. And then what the sign says is, we cut hair upstairs and downstairs. We style the hair upstairs and downstairs. We can shave your hair upstairs and downstairs, and we can even do your makeup, including painting your lips upstairs and downstairs, and that's what the whole joke is. So like at the end it's like we also paint your lips upstairs and downstairs and upstairs and downstairs, and like he laughs at it because you know what he's trying to say without him actually saying it. But a lot of our stuff is about that. Another song is about how there was a rumor at the local soccer stadium in my home country that people started saying that, well, apparently it wasn't a rumor, apparently it was real, that some of the women there that would hold like hot dog cart style stuff outside would sell you tacos. But it turned out that the tacos were actually made of dog meat. Apparently it's a real thing that happened in the news and everything. And then they wrote a song called Dog Meat. And the whole song is about the guy singing about how he gets so excited because every Saturday he goes to the football field to watch them play soccer. And the one day he was running late, and when he got there, he was so hungry, and you won't believe what happened. And he's like, I got there really early so I could get a good spot, and I didn't have time to eat. And when I got to the stadium, I smelled something delicious. And it was barbecued meat. And I asked the lady, what is it? And she said it was armadillo, because eating armadillo over there is fairly common. He's like, and they told me it was armadillo, and so I bought it, and then the truth was it was dog meat. And then the whole song is about mocking that he ate dog meat. Like it's a lot of like satirical music, so it makes our music very, very lighthearted, which I enjoy. Explain about the upstairs and downstairs. Oh man. And you prefer Argentinian cumbia? Yeah, and I mean, and you live in Argentina, right? So it's like if you grow up with it, it's a lot easier to appreciate it. When you're exposed to so many different genres, it's one of the things that a lot of people from El Salvador, when we go home, they sometimes have a hard time understanding what I'm trying to say. They like I speak fluently, but they sometimes get confused by the terms that I use because I grew up here. And up here, we have people from everywhere. Like we have Mexicans, we have Colombians, we have Peruvians, Argentinians, people from Costa Rica. And so their slang words leak into our language. And so we start learning different slang. And because I grew up here, I don't know that it's slang from like Colombia. I don't realize. And so I'll say things without realizing that it's not actually from El Salvador. And then I'll say it out there and they have no idea what I'm talking about because that word doesn't make sense to them, or that word means something totally different to them. And so it's kind of the same with music. When you grow up with a certain style of music, you listen to a different style and it just doesn't vibe as well. So like here, there's a lot of Colombians. So Colombian cumbia is kind of where it's at. Not to mention cumbia originated in Colombia, right? So it's their style that originally started it, and then we all made our own versions of it. The Colombian style is common here because there's so many Colombians, but the Salvadoran style of cumbia is the one that reigned supreme because we had more of a salsa feel, which spread easier towards all the other nations because it was much more common instrumentation versus, Colombians, which mostly go with accordion. And so like that tends to dictate what made it more popular here. But when you're living in a place that you're surrounded by your own culture all the time, it's kind of harder to have a different perspective. You know what I mean? Nice, Weewin. Don't die. Don't die. Merle, don't get in an accident. Pay attention. See, I haven't heard those, Trellan. I haven't heard those ones. I'm completely out of the loop. I haven't really, ever since the band really stopped being consistent, I haven't really paid attention to music. So I'm out of the loop with the songs that are out there. Because I don't want to get my excitement, right? Like I get really excited about a new song and then it's like I'm not going to perform it, so why do I care? So I came here when I was like almost 2 years old. I was really, really, really young. Well, I want to see what the design is. I was really young when I moved here. And we came here because of my dad. His family moved out here. They moved out here just for the sake of moving. They didn't actually do it for any special reason. Just looking for a better life. And so what does blue do? Ooh. Does netherite do anything? Netherrack do anything? No. How about gold? Does gold do? No. I don't have anything else. Iron? So it's just like a weird little line. Okay. That's cool. So his family moved out here and they started sponsoring each other once they were out here. We had one aunt that moved to the States originally, and that aunt started sponsoring people, and then some of the people that were sponsored there moved to Canada from the States. And it was way easier in the 80s to move out here. In the 70s is when she first came. And then the person that moved out here started sponsoring people, and they sponsored my uncles, 2 of my uncles and my grandmother. And while they were out here, they were told they could sponsor somebody else, so they sponsored my dad, who was 21. At the time, my parents were not doing well in their marriage. They were basically on the verge of getting divorced. They got married really young. They got married for, like, they were both in very hurt situations, and so they got married when they shouldn't have. And my dad moved to Mexico for like a year in order to get his papers to move here. And then he moved out here. Not a year. He moved to Mexico for a few months. And then he moved out here. And then once he was out here, when he was getting his citizenship, the government, when they asked his information, he signed he's got a son and a wife and all this. And they, because it was easier back then, told him, you have a family. They can be sponsored. If you get your citizenship, they will be sponsored and accepted automatically. And so he called my mom, and they talked it out, and they decided that, yeah, he was going to sponsor her. And so then my mom moved out here. And for my mom, it was a much braver move because my dad moved out here with all of his family. My mom moved out here by herself. She had one uncle that lived out here and nobody else. And she moved out here. And so that's why we ended up out here. And there was actually a few times that we were not going to stay out here. My mom was ready to go home. She hated it here. She hated Canada. Mainly because she was alone. She had no family. She had no friends. She didn't speak the language. She had nobody to turn to. Back then, it wasn't like it is now where they offer options to find translators and stuff. And like she'd go to the supermarket and buy stuff and not realize that it was the wrong thing because out there it would be one thing. And then she'd come here and think that that word meant something else. And then she'd buy it. Like she bought soap thinking that it was for laundry. And it turns out it was dish soap. And when she did the laundry, it foamed everywhere and it like made a huge mess and like that embarrassing kind of stuff. And so she was ready to go back. They tried, and then it turns out, like they were getting ready to, and then it turns out she was pregnant. So she didn't go back. Then when my brother was about 2.5, almost 3, they decided, yeah, they're going to move back. So the plan was my grandmother was going to take us back. She was living here for a while. She was going to take us back, my mom's mom. And then my parents were going to work for a whole year, saving up, living with the most minimum stuff that they could. And then they were going to move back and that was it. They were going to have some money saved up and we were going to start our lives in El Salvador. And we were out there for a couple of weeks and my brother got deathly ill, like deathly ill. He had a really bad response to all the food out there. And so when they went to the hospital, the doctor basically said, if this little boy does not go back to Canada, he's going to die. His body is not accustomed to this and it is taking it out on him. He needs to get back to Canada now or he's not going to make it. So that same week we flew back and then we stayed. We never decided to go back. And that was it. Oh, okay, Trilena. Okay. Yeah, I saw that you could put books in a bookshelf. That's so cool. I'm just trying to think of where to go to look for some diamonds, but may not be an option. I may have to put this off for next stream because it's already 4:30. I've been live for 3 hours and a half. Poor Nora's been out there by herself. I should probably stop because we got to make dinner in a little bit too. I got distracted with my band stuff. I'm sorry. It's just that was a big part of my life. I was really proud of it. We did it for 15 years. Like I was 19 when we first started to practice. So from 19 to 24 was a really hectic time. Even since then, we still performed occasionally, but it wasn't as consistent. But for 15 years, it was like consistent. 2 shows a week, every week. Sometimes 3 shows a week, depending on how busy we were. Especially during the summer, it was 3 shows a week for sure. But we were busy all the time. So it was a really, really, really big part of my life. A big part of who I was. And then when it all stopped, it fizzled out and it hurt. So when I start talking about it, I get all excited. But yeah, that's why we moved to Canada and I'm glad we live here. I love Canada, you know. I'm definitely part of a weird community because there's a lot of talk about like, you know, when you talk about like racism and stuff, and I'm not going to get into any of that, but like there's a lot of talk about people who are here but are ethnic minorities but grew up here and everything. And then there are people who are like fresh immigrants, but they forget about people like me that are kind of like the in-between. where like I grew up in Canada because I have like I was here so young, so I have a lot of Canadian culture in me, but I grew up with Latino parents who grew up out there, so I have a lot of Latino culture in my life. But I don't fit in because I'm not exactly Canadian. But I go back home and I don't fit in because I'm much more Canadian. So like I'm the in between. I'm in this weird spot where like I don't fit back home and I don't fit here. I'm just a nomad basically. You know, I've mentioned this before. I've been in my late 20s, early 30s, and people still welcome me to the country. I don't have an accent, but they hear my name Luis and they see I have olive skin and instantly they know that I'm not from here and they welcome me to the country. And it's just like, I've been here my whole life, man. I don't know my own country. I've been to my own country a handful of times. You know, I know a lot about my culture and my music and the way we believe things and stuff, but I'm still Canadian, but I'm still not. And then I go back home and I have a lot more advanced beliefs than they do. And so like, I don't connect with them fully either. So like, it's a weird part of the community that I'm in. But it's interesting. Good. I'm glad you're safe, Merle. I'm glad you're safe. No, I'm from El Salvador. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's so kind of you to say that. I was hoping you didn't say it on our date, but I'm glad you did. But yeah, so I get really passionate about it because I don't have anybody to share that with, right? Like all of my friends are Canadian or they're of some other ethnicity that isn't Latino, so they can't appreciate it. And my few Latino friends aren't interested. I had one friend, she was like my best friend in the whole world, and she came to see us perform once for like an hour. And this was like years into me doing it. She had no interest, even though her and I were like amazing dance partners. We danced all the time together. She never had interest in coming to watch. My best friend that I grew up with, she was like the friend that I knew my whole life. He was somebody that I grew up with in school. He had zero interest. He saw me perform once, I think. He says he saw me perform once, but I think it was a practice. I don't think he actually ever watched me live. Because I used to ask his dad all the time, and his dad was always like, he's not interested. So like I never had friends that like wanted to watch me perform or were interested in me performing or any of that stuff. So I never had anybody to like share stories with of like gigs that they came to see or whatever. It was always just my own thing. So when I get a chance to talk about it, I never shut up because I loved it. I loved it so much. That's the same thing in my eyes. You're right. I didn't see it that way. I should have seen it that way. Damn, I missed out. I could have been part Canadian, but the ice cream delivery. Yeah, no, Canada is, it's got its benefits. I wouldn't want to go live back home. Even now, like, now that my dad's gone, he was the only reason I ever went back home. I never had interest in going back home. Not because I didn't love my culture or my own country or anything. It was just not my, damn it. It was just not my interest, you know? I don't know anybody out there. I don't have any connection with anybody out there. So like there was nothing driving me to go home. But I'd go with him because he loved long road trips and I loved going long road trips with him, and we didn't have much in common. So that was something that we could do together. So I loved it. But now that he's dead, like I have zero reason to go home. I have an aunt and an uncle that live out there. My uncle and I have never really spoken much. I love him dearly. He's a great guy. But he's really poor. I'm not going to go and impose and go and stay with him. And then my aunt is a moocher. She only ever contacts us to ask for money. You know, when my grandmother passed away, she immediately started contacting all of us asking for the inheritance. Except she got an inheritance when my grandparents left that country and came here. My grandfather had a big house. He had his own mechanic shop. He had a bunch of like lines of credit and bank accounts and stuff out there. He left it all to her, and she lost all of it. And so when they came out here, they had nothing. They had a house. And so when they died, my mom got the house. That was her inheritance. And she took care of them while they were sick. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. My mom took care of them. I took care of them. So it's like that was their payback. It's like, you know, we left everything to your brother and sister. When we die, this house is yours. That's our inheritance to you. And now my aunt's calling us asking for the money. It's like, you had everything and you lost it all. That's your fault. That's not our fault. So I have zero interest in going out there to see her because she's only interested in what we can give her. But we've tried. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we've been like, oh no, you don't deserve anything. We tried. My mom was paying for her to go to school. And then we found out she never went to school. She just pocketed the money. My grandfather was paying rent and her groceries and everything every month for her. And then one day my grandfather's sister called him because she was renting a house that my grandfather's sister owned. And my grandfather's sister called him and she's like, she's my niece and I've been trying not to do this, but it's been a year since she's paid rent. And I know you're supporting her. So like, can you pay me for the rent? She had just been pocketing my grandfather's money and not paying anybody any of the bills that she owed. So, no, you don't deserve the inheritance. You got your inheritance and you squandered it. That's your problem. We were trying to help you and you squandered that too. So why would we help you? You know what I mean? So annoying. So I'm glad to be in Canada. I have zero reason to go back home. I would like to go, but I'm going to go to a resort. I'm not going to go visit family. I'm going to go to a resort because, I mean, El Salvador has some great weather. So I'd be down for that. It's a very common thing, Trilana. It's a very, very common thing. A lot of Canadians have Canadian flags in their house. They'll have a Canadian tattoo. Most of my Canadian friends have a Canadian tattoo. They have a Canadian flag somewhere, whether it's like a pin or something on their wall. Same with guys from El Salvador. Almost all of my Salvadorian friends have some kind of Salvadorian flag in their car, or they'll have a tattoo. And I don't mean this as a judgment, but I think devotion to a country of that level is just stupid. Only because the people are who matter, not the country, right? And I've never been in Argentina, so I can't talk about Argentina. I'm talking about Canada in particular. Canada has enough horrible things going on in it that I'm not proud to be Canadian. I love Canada, and I love what they've offered me, and I love the life I have in Canada, and I love the people I know in Canada. But there's enough horrible things that still happen in Canada that the government and other Canadians refuse to acknowledge, that there's no pride in being Canadian to me. Like, I'm not like, I'm Canadian through and through and I love Canada. No. And I'm from El Salvador, the country that has created arguably the worst gang in all of the United States and has been ranked one of the top 3 most dangerous countries on the planet. Not very proud of that either. So I don't have pride in countries, but that's why I think it's stupid, because I'm connected to 2 countries that don't necessarily inspire pride in me. Again, I love Canada. I don't want to leave Canada, and I don't think there are other countries that would be better for what I like in life. Like a lot of people do look at other countries like, I would love to live there because they have it better. Like if you live in like Mexico, the United States, freedom, stuff like that. But for me, it's like, I'm happy in Canada. The only thing I hate about Canada, that I actually despise about Canada, is the weather. I hate the snow. I hate the snow. That's the only reason I ever looked at Australia, because Australia has very similar rules to Canada because it is, under Britain's control. But they have much nicer weather than we do. That's the only thing. I hate winter. I would love if I lived somewhere where it was warm all the time, like Australia. But I like Canada. I think Canada's great. Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you, Tyler. I'm just saying I'm referring to Canada and El Salvador because those are what I'm connected to. But almost no countries really inspire that kind of pride. There are a lot of good things about the country. Like, I am proud to say I'm Canadian. I'm proud to say that I'm from Canada. I just don't have that like deep, like Canada is part of me. No, I'm just proud to be a part of a country where I do have the freedom to paint my nails and no one's going to hurt me. Or that I am surrounded by people from a true variety of cultures, right? Like the United States gets a lot of flack for the bad things that happen there, but there's a lot of pride taken in how multicultural United States are. And they are. But Canada is like by far way more mixed than the United States is, because you will have an Asian area, but they're all different types of Asian areas included in that. Like there are East Asians, and there's, Korean, and there's Japanese, and there's Vietnamese, and you will meet people of those types and find restaurants of those types. Whereas like the United States tends to be a little bit more sharp in the mix that they have, where there's like Mexicans. And it doesn't matter if you're from Guatemala or whatever, the Mexican culture is a much bigger culture in the States. Whereas here, there's not one Latino culture that really stands out over the others. We've all kind of amalgamated. So we've got a really great mixture here. There's a lot of stuff about Canada that is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't have that pride of like some of my friends with El Salvador, like El Salvador is the best, greatest country in the world. And I'm just like, but then why are you here? It's obviously not the best country in the world when you're living here and you haven't wanted to go back. Like Canada's better than El Salvador. in a lot of objective ways, except for the weather. And the fact that there's mangoes that grow on trees in your backyard out there instead of apples. I would rather have a mango. But, you know, there's things to be proud of. Just like in the States, there are a lot of things that are, you know, beautiful in the States. There's a lot of really cool stuff in the States. There's stuff about the States that I really wish Canada had, more so with scenery and like places to visit and support for the arts, stuff like that. Every country has their beautiful things, and every country has their horrendous things that don't really inspire pride. That's why I think it's kind of silly to have so much pride, like blind pride in a country. Like I've never flown a Salvadoran flag in my country, in my house, ever. The closest I have is I have a couple of machetes. Decorational, they're not sharpened. They have gilding on top of it, so you can't use them. And they've got like the symbols that are on my flag are on the machete. But that's like the closest thing that I have to pride. And it's more of like, that's my heritage. That's where I'm from. That's my culture. But it's not a pride in my country per se. Because every country's got things that they've done that are horrible to the people around them, or that are, you know, horrible to their own country, or that the people themselves have done to each other. Like every country's got problems. You know what I say? What I mean? Yeah, Tryland, and I think that's pretty much most of the world, you know, and depending on your perspective, even somebody that other people would think is the best leader in the world, other people aren't going to think is a great leader. We hear about it here in Canada all the time, right? I'm not a big fan of Justin Trudeau. He's our leader here. I personally think if I met him, not as a politician, as just like a regular person, he'd probably be pretty easy to get along with. And a lot of the world admires Justin Trudeau. A lot of people look at him and be like, he's a revolutionary leader. He's a young, nice guy that everybody really likes, and he's good looking and all this. But in Canada, it's a huge divide that half of Canada hates his guts. The other half is divided in half too, and half of those people really like him, and half of those people are kind of like, well, he's the better choice out of the two that really ever stand a chance at winning. I think anywhere in the world that you go, there's going to be leadership that isn't liked by everybody. I think a lot of countries have a long way to go to make them the best countries in the world. I think a lot of countries have the opportunity to be great countries. They just can't. A lot of Latin American countries could be, but a certain superpower in the world has made it their mission to steal their land and to put in restrictions that don't allow them to grow on purpose so they can maintain the power. It's really, really complicated. But a lot of Latin American countries have a lot of great resources and could do a lot. But because they've been reduced to nothing in poverty, they can't. And so we're kind of stuck in a bad place. So it really sucks. It really sucks. Yeah, lesser of two evils. That's pretty much what it is. Lesser of two evils. You know, it's not a... and no matter which parties you end up voting for, most of the time in the way our politics work, it's money that drives it. So it doesn't matter how good their intentions are. They're not always going to do what they say because money's going to drive everything. And so like you could have somebody that has all the best intentions to help everybody in the world and everything's going to be awesome and no higher taxes. And then the second get in power, they don't do any of it because money controls them a lot more than they are willing to admit, which kind of sucks. But that's the whole world, you know? Yeah, Tryland, and that's happening a lot all over the world. A lot of the world. Yeah, dulce de leche is definitely a huge thing. And the funny thing is all of Latin America has dulce de leche, and all of Latin America does it differently. Everybody does a different style. We have a different style to everybody else. Ours comes like an actual bar, and it's almost like, it looks like a candlestick. We cover it in wax, like in wax paper, and then you wrap it open. It's a red little bar. It comes that way, or it comes in like almost like a peanut butter texture. It's thick. But then like the Mexican one is more like caramel. I don't know how it is in Argentina, but like everybody has slightly different dulce de leche. I like the one from El Salvador that's in the bar, but the liquid one I like from Mexico. It's cool. I think every country has their own thing. That's why I'm such a big fan of like the way Canada is, where it mixes, because we get to experience these different countries with different foods and get to like see the good parts of each country, which is great. It's awesome. Like I've had some food from places that I'm never going to visit in my life, Not because I don't want to, but because I won't be able to. And I get to experience it in Canada because somebody who was born and raised there came here and cooked a meal and I got to eat it. It's cool. You know, I think that's one of the big strong points Canada has, is we don't have one particular secondary culture. Do you know what I mean? Like when correct me if I'm wrong, but when I think of England, I think of, you know, the Brits, and I think of Indian people. And so like those are the two big cultures that are there. When I think of the States, I think of the Americans and Mexicans. Those are the two cultures I think of there. But Canada doesn't really have one, because yes, we have the white Canadians, but then every other culture is almost evenly represented. There's a larger Latino population, but outside of that, like it's such a mix of like all over the world. And I think that's a huge benefit to Canada, because we get to see a lot more of the world and their cultures and foods and, you know, ways that they celebrate. It's a cool thing that you don't see all over the world. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. I like that. No, I've never even heard of those, Trylan. I've never even heard of those. For us, our pride is pupusas. That's like the big thing that everybody knows about El Salvador. First thing I hear when I speak to another Latino, where are you from? El Salvador. Pupusas. I'm like, yeah, I love pupusas. Anyways, I got to get out of here because poor Nora has been by herself for the last few hours. This was one of my longer streams. This is hopefully how my streams are going to be in the near future. I am going to try to stream more often, 4 times a week. Hopefully starting next week, we'll see. This week's going to be kind of rough because my dad's funeral and stuff is next weekend, and I have to practice, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to do, so maybe next week might only be 3, but I'm going to start to try to put 4. Oh, that sounds yummy. Cookies with dulce de leche. That sounds really good. That sounds really, really good. Yeah, like I want to, the goal is 5 streams per week at 4 hours a stream at least. I'm going to keep it at like the 2-hour mark. Sorry, today I went a little bit extra because I slept a lot, and so I went a little bit longer, but I want to keep it around 2 hours, but I want to do 4 streams a week for the next little while, then jump it up to 5 streams a week, and then up those to the 4-hour streams. Roughly what I did today. Because I think this is enough time for people to kind of hang out and find me throughout their day. Whereas like when it's 2 hours, it's such a small window for people to be able to find me. If I'm doing 5 streams a week at 4 hours, that's 20 hours that somebody has a chance to hang out. So that'll be a bit more conducive for the channel and a little bit easier for the community to come hang out, instead of having like yesterday, Tiffy popped in like literally the last 5 minutes. If it was a 4-hour stream, I would have still had another 2 hours to go. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. Oh, dude. Oh. So horchata is not for everybody. It's a creamy drink. Not as creamy as like chocolate milk or milkshake or anything like that. It's like drinking milk that's watered down. That's the thickness of it. But it's a creamy flavor. If you've ever had the closest flavor I can think of, if you've ever gone to McDonald's and gotten their chai, the frozen chai, vanilla chai tea thing that they have, that's a very similar flavor. That's what horchata's like, except it's not a frozen drink. It's just a regular drink. That's what horchata tastes like. I love horchata, depending on who makes it. Some people strain it, some people don't strain it as well, so it's a little bit gritty. I don't mind it if it's gritty. Some people really hate it if it's gritty. Hopefully it's not so gritty, so you can have just the experience of the flavor. But horchata is one of my favorite things. One of my friends who lives in the States couldn't believe that we don't sell horchata at every store. Like, you go to McDonald's in the States and you can get horchata. That doesn't happen here. I haven't had horchata in probably about 5 years. And it's my favorite drink in the world. And the last time I had it, my sister brought it for me. And I put it away because I loved it so much that I was like trying to like only drink it at special times. And then it went bad, and then I drank it and it tasted horrible and I had to throw it out. And I only got to drink it once. Made me really sad. Really, really sad. Anyways, I got to get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. I will see you guys in a few days. It's Friday, right? I think it's Friday. It's got to be Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. So I'm going to try to be live on Monday. I can't make any promises, but I'm going to try to be live on Monday to try to kind of start implementing 4 days a week. I haven't picked what days I'm going to be live consistently, but for now I'm going to try Monday. So it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the 5th day will probably be a day on the weekend, but it kind of depends on what happens once Alana's gone and I'm by myself and I'm working a new schedule at work, I got to see what my energy is like to see what days are going to work best for me. But that's kind of what we're doing. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. Thank you, Wewin and Trilena and Brian and Tyler and Chad, if you're still listening. Oh yeah, happy Canada Day. Yes, I am welcome to the country. Thank you so much. Happy Canada Day to all my Canadian friends. I keep forgetting that that's what it is. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I will maybe see you Monday. If not, I'll definitely be back Tuesday. TikTok. See you later. Bye-bye. And Twitch and YouTube. Thank you all for hanging out and chatting with me.